LOL, I'm freaking. I just said LOL out loud. Freaking. I'm trying to live stream, but YouTube's got a new freaking live stream system. And it's meshing together with the old one. So it's like something's like, "Hey, Shady's gonna go live later. You should set your reminder." And I was like, "No, I'm live right now." Yeah, if you go on my actual page, it's saying, "Hey, set a reminder for when Shady goes live." I'm like, "No, get rid of that. I want to delete that." Let me see if I can figure out how to delete that right quick. Oh, we're gonna go live in a. I was hoping to go live as soon as I freaking click the go live thing, but this new YouTube beta thing is. Yeah, I don't see a way to delete it. Oh, here we go. Okay, upcoming. Yeah, delete that. I'm not. I'm not going to go live. I am live right now. How do I? No, I just want to delete it. Oh, YouTube beta, I hate you so much. Hello to everyone in the chat here. I'll let you guys look at my face while I try to figure this out. Hello to everybody in the chat. I'm gonna go live here. Got some stuff I want to talk about, but freaking YouTube, the YouTube go live. It's got me going live twice. Miss simpler times before YouTube Studio Beta was a thing. Okay, so yeah, here's the video. I am not going live. I am live, so just you know what? I'm just gonna set the visibility on that to private. That way, no. Or is this the? Am I actually? I don't know. Am I the only one who sees this? Like, there's two live things on my front page. One is like, "Hey, he's live right now," and the other one's like, "Hey, he's going to go live. It's scheduled for today, which has already happened." I don't know. Maybe that's just YouTube derping. Also, we are not just hanging out. I have something I specifically want to talk about, but okay, you guys, you guys see me live. That's good. Okay, so pardon my incredibly squeaky chair. I put some WD-40 on it, and it's still squeaking like crazy. All right, so you guys can see me as long as if there's two videos, I'll just figure it out later. I also want to edit the freaking description because we are not just hanging out today. I have some things I specifically want to talk about, so I'm going to change that right quick. I am typing in your guys' ear. I apologize. I will mute my mic. All right, so everything seems to be working. Video's up. I can see chat. Hello, chat. How y'all doing? Now that I can see everybody. Let's pop out the chat so I can put it over here so I can see it better. There you go. Alright, so now we can get this thing started officially. Which means there's only one way to do it. Hey, hello, how do you do? Shady Durags here. Welcome to this live stream. Man, I feel so transformative. Like, I feel like my voice literally changed as I went from trying to figure out the system to the Shady Durags introduction. How you guys doing, chat? Geez, we already got some questions in the chat. And I haven't even started yet. But, let's go ahead and talk about what we're doing today. So, as far as today, yeah, we're doing a live stream. I'm not gonna say impromptu. I've been planning it for a couple of days, but I decided to do a live stream because, as I've noted on the channel and on Twitter and such, it's getting more and more difficult for me to produce the video essays and reviews and etc. like I want to. Preferably, I'd like to do the once a week thing, the YouTube algorithm, but it's getting more difficult to do that mainly because I've been busy the past couple of months, and it's starting to catch up with me. For example, there's not going to be a new video on this weekend coming up, and I was feeling some way about that because I don't like to go that long without making content. And then I thought to myself, I could do live streams. I haven't done live streams in so long, but yeah, I could do live streams because there are a lot of things I really want to talk about. And while I won't be able to get the the editing process in, I can still go ahead and do some live streams. And I see you guys' questions in the chat about stuff. For right now, here's the plan. We've got a main topic we're going to talk about, and that is you guys probably didn't see the title because the title wasn't correct when I started the stream, but we got a main topic we're gonna talk about, which is the real. I should put quotations around real, not I shouldn't have it all caps. I should put quotations, but it's the quote unquote real reason why people hate Diane. I should say the supposed real reason why people hate Diane. I want to talk about that, get all my thoughts about that out the way, and then at the end we can talk about like pretty much whatever chat wants to talk about, and we can just hang out and I can answer you guys' questions. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and start that, and I've got way too many tabs open right now. I was all prepared, and then I actually had to. Oh, you know what? I should probably tweet that I'm live. Yeah, I should do that. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. There is some background noise, so if you guys hear like voices or rain or something, I apologize for that. Usually I edit out the background noise, but this is live, so okie dokie. All right, so we're going to talk about what's going to be the quote unquote real reasons why people dislike Diane. The reason I'm putting quotes is because I don't believe this, but this is something I've been getting talked to about by a lot of people, and I wanted to make a video about it. So hence this. Now, ever since I first started doing BoJack Horseman videos, the first topic I did was Diane Nguyen. And I made it pretty clear I don't really like Diane. I think she's a great character, at least up until the end of season 4. But I personally just don't like her, and a lot of people in the fandom don't like her. That's what my first BoJack Horseman video was about. And I've gotten responses from people saying the real reason people don't like Diane is because of misogyny. And I hesitate to talk about this because the last time I came anywhere close to this subject, my channel got deleted. So but yeah, a lot of people say that the real reason people don't like Diane is because of misogyny. And I have some concerns at that. I have some concerns I want to address. First, I want to get to an actual comment so you guys know I am not strawmanning. However, this comment isn't on one of my videos. This comment is on if what's that channel called? I can't remember what the channel is called. It is called The Take by Screen Prism. Okay, I was just gonna call it Screen Prism, but it's by The Take by Screen Prism. And I'll pull it up for you guys so you can see it. There we go. It's this right here. This comment. So this is actually one of the more tame comments that says this. And I'll go ahead and I'll start with this one, and I'll get to some of the more general stuff. But this person says, I'll say it if no one else does. A big reason certain BH fans hate Diane. See, this person says certain, so they actually have a much better argument than I usually get with these. But they say certain BH fans hate Diane is because of deep-rooted misogyny. Okay, that's an interesting take. It could be true. So let's hear them out. They're either BoJack bros who are mad at her for choosing Mr. Peanut Butter over him. I can tell you right now, that's not me. That is not me. I've never shipped BoJack and Diane. I think they work really well as friends. So no, I am not angry that Diane chose Mr. Peanut Butter over BoJack. Though I could believe that some people are. Or mad at her for divorcing and fighting with Mr. Peanut Butter. Now, I can lean in that category, but it's not so much that she fought with Mr. Peanut Butter. It's the things that happened while she was fighting with him, which I'll explain more of that in a second. Never mind the fact that BoJack isn't really in love with Diane and Mr. Peanut Butter has trouble paying attention to his partner's emotional needs. Those are true. Again, this is actually a fairly decent reply than what I usually get when it comes to these misogyny comments. They're so used to jerk males protagonists automatically being treated as heroes and given a pass for their behavior. This right here. They're so used to jerk male protagonists automatically being treated as heroes and given a pass for their behavior. This is something that comes up a lot in this. By the way, guys, if I'm dropping frames or you can't hear me clearly or anything like that, just let me know. But this is something that comes up a lot in these conversations where people say, well, it's misogyny. They say males are allowed to be flawed in fiction, but females aren't. And to me, the what's confusing about that to me is that you could look at the complete reversal. You could, first of all, I don't believe that's true. I think all characters need to be flawed unless they're being not Mary Sue's, but I can't remember what it's called, but it's where they're supposed to be perfect and people look up to them. But other than those, paragons, that's what it's called. Unless they're supposed to be paragons, they're supposed to be flawed. But other than that, I think all characters need to be flawed. But let's say that, for the sake of argument, that they're correct. That society views that males, fictional characters, should be flawed and females should be perfect. You could reverse that and say, well, society looks at males as flawed creatures. That's why we put it in our fiction. Whereas we look at females as flawless creatures, which is why we put it in our fiction. Again, I don't believe that, and I'm really scared touching this topic because, again, last time I did that, my channel got deleted. But the logic doesn't work there to say that, well, because people look at BoJack and they just forgive him for being flawed, but they expect Diane to be perfect. It works in a reversal role, and it keeps on going. One of the very tropes this show deconstructs. BoJack Horseman does deconstruct a lot of tropes that they don't like to see Diane call BoJack and Mr. Peanut Butter out on their behavior. That is, from what I've seen, that is not true. Pretty much everybody who watches this show enjoys that characters are called out for their behavior. Like, that's the point of the show. It calls out the bad behaviors of these characters and it makes them go through consequences for it. And here's the part that I get a little bit triggered over, and it's not this person's fault. This has a lot to do with a much broader topic that this person has no idea is going on in the back of my head. Sorry, my phone. Just turn that. There we go. All right. Even if she actually shows a lot of friendship and empathy for them. This is the part that gets me. I've said this before, but I want to elaborate. Diane is not a character that is about empathy. Diane is a character that is about sympathy. In some places, in fact, freaking Google uh, definitions will use those synonymously. That's I don't use those synonymously. Empathy means you come from a place of understanding. You might not necessarily agree or disagree, but you see where the person is coming from. Sympathy means you feel sorry for them. Diane comes from a place of sympathy. She feels sorry for people. She feels sorry for victims. She feels sorry for people like BoJack who don't know the harm they're causing to the world. She feels sorry for them. That's where her mind is. That's where her mind is. And it's not really empathetic to the people around her. That's why I would say Princess Carolyn is more of an empathetic character. Because even though Princess Carolyn will not always agree with what's going on, she will try to see it from your perspective. For example, to be empathetic to someone, for like, say, Mr. Peanut Butter, for example, I'm actually very empathetic to Mr. Peanut Butter. But you look at Mr. Peanut Butter, and you look how he doesn't address negative topics. Now, you know that's wrong. But if you look at it from his perspective, he has always had good things happen in his life. So why should he focus on the negative? Now, I know he should. I know it's good from a mental perspective that he should do that. But I understand why he thinks he shouldn't. That's where empathy comes from. That's why it's sometimes better not to just say factual truths, but to say it in a way people can better comprehend it. And this is, anybody who knows me, this sounds weird coming from me, because people in my personal life know the most important thing to me is the truth. Getting the truth out there, not necessarily making people feel better about it. But in my opinion, when you get down to it, I think empathy is one of the most important emotions you can have. I'm actually planning on doing another video about empathy, so just another to add on to the huge list of videos I want to do. But yeah, that's probably my biggest irk with Diane, is that she doesn't have empathy. But that was a comment I wanted to share, just so you guys know I'm not strawmanning. Now, I've come across a couple of other comments, but I couldn't find them before this stream. These comments I've gotten across on the Diane video that's on my channel. So you can go back and search for them if you like. I couldn't personally find them. There's a lot of comments on that video. But I wanted to address some of the general concerns that people say about the real reason why people dislike Diane. And what I first want to get across these people is, if you're preaching to the choir, like if that's all you're trying to do, you're doing a good job. Because those are the only people who are going to listen with the way that this argument is going. When you get into a discussion online, you're going to have people who disagree with you. And that's fine, that's how it works. But if you're only trying to prove it from your perspective, again, empathy. If you're only trying to prove it from your perspective, you're not trying to really change any minds. You're just preaching to the choir. So with this argument, people say, the biggest thing I hear about this argument is BoJack and Diane are equally bad, yet people hate BoJack more. Why? Because he's a man. And that's the only difference between BoJack and Diane. First of all, BoJack and Diane are not equally bad. Objectively, BoJack is way, way worse than Diane. Like, her actions have never led to the death of someone. BoJack's actions inadvertently led to Sarah Lynn's death. BoJack's actions are what caused her life to go down the path it did. I mean, her wound up getting a better life than BoJack, but that one moment, Diane hasn't really done anything like that. BoJack is objectively worse. Likable, a character being likable, is not necessarily linked to how objectively bad they are. I tell you this, we have BoJack Horseman, we have Diane Nguyen, and we have the Joker from the Batman series. Which one has done the worst crimes? The Joker, the murdering, torturing psychopath. But which one is also one of the most liked character? I mean, this character has been going on for generations. Joker is one of the most liked characters in the comic universe and the superhero. I mean, people freaking love the Dark Knight version of the Joker, and that's because his objective crimes do not equal his likability. And to anybody who still have any qualms with that concept, think about this. Let's say we have another BoJack Horseman show. The only thing we're going to change in this show, everything is exactly the same. The only thing we're going to change is that Diane is a man. That's the only thing we're going to change. You could even say, if you want, you can even say that she's still married to we'll call him Dean. We can even say that Dean is still married to Mr. Peanut Butter. BoJack still has a crush on Dean. You can say all that. The only thing we're going to change is that Diane is a male, and somehow it all just makes sense. It all just winds up making sense. Now, we have Dean and we have BoJack. Are those two characters, now that Diane is Dean, clones of each other? No. Dean is still younger than BoJack. Dean is still Vietnamese while BoJack is not. Dean is still a human while BoJack is a horse. There's more differences between Diane and BoJack than just their sexes. The thing is, people have chosen that difference to be relevant. And I have asked these people, I've had these conversations with them and asked them to explain, how is the sex relevant? And they refuse to answer that question for me. So if you're going to try to convince people similar to me that this is a concept that exists, you're going to have to address that the sex is a relevant difference. Because there are so many differences between BoJack and Diane. And in my original video that I did, I explained the differences that led to people disliking one and liking the other. Diane's vices revolve around hypocrisy and ungratefulness. And those are two of the most unlikable traits that a character can have. She's still a realistic character, which a lot of people say, oh, Diane is realistic and that's why people hate her. And I'm like, a lot of the characters in that show are realistic, BoJack in particular. But yeah, I can kind of see where they're coming from. Diane is probably the most realistic of the main cast. And one more thing I really want to get out. If this is true, if people just can't stand Diane because of societal views of gender and whatnot, why is Princess Carolyn heralded so much? Most people love Princess Carolyn. I've seen more people say Princess Carolyn is their favorite character than any other character in the show. That's a woman. That's a woman who is judgmentative. I'm not sure if that's a real word I just used, but judgmentative of all her partners. And yet people love her. I love her. She's my freaking favorite character. Diane was my favorite character back in season 1. So I just kind of wanted to nip that in the bud, that this argument on so many levels just doesn't make sense. And if you want to get into the conversation, again, I'm willing to read any comments of people who want to talk about this, who still believe that it is a general concern. That's fine, but you're going to have to explain it to a perspective that's not yours, to a perspective where you've already proven to yourself that it's true. When I do my video essays, oftentimes I will say something and then I will demonstrate it. So that people don't think I just made stuff up. But that's what I wanted to get out. And now, chat, we can start talking about the stuff you guys wanted to talk about. And I'm hoping to do more stuff like this in the future, where we can just come on and have a conversation. I know I'm not the best off script. One of the reasons why my scripts are as quote unquote good as they are is because I overthink what I'm saying all the time. So when it comes to a live conversation, it doesn't work as well. But somebody was asking some questions up here, and I want to get to what they were saying. Your thoughts on Mr. Peanut Butter on cheating on Pickles with Diane? Yeah, I answered that in my top 10 things that's bad about season 5, and I also answered that in my season 5 review. I don't think season 5 was particularly well to most of the characters. I think Princess Carolyn had the best arc of the main cast, and I think Todd's was on par. But I've often felt that Todd should have had better arcs in the future. But Diane, BoJack, and Mr. Peanut Butter all felt like their characters were really off. Particularly Mr. Peanut Butter. I don't feel like someone like him who's so dedicated to the person he's with would have cheated on them. That felt really strange to me. A lot of people have told me, hey, well, no, they haven't said that. I would be strawmanning. The justification I create in my mind, people haven't told me this, is that it's more realistic and therefore that makes it somewhat okay. And it's like, if you want a character to do something, you need to have their actions lead up to it. And I don't feel like the actions that led up to Mr. Peanut Butter cheating on Pickles was justifiable in his case. Mr. Peanut Butter is so unrealistically loving and happy that even him getting a little bit tired of Pickles, I could not see him doing that. I can't even see him getting tired of Pickles because he does all that crazy stuff himself. But yeah, Diana's argumentative and basically wants a fight to win. Just my opinion. Yeah, I would say she. I don't. I'm not gonna say. I don't know if I can say she wants a fight to win. I think that's true, but I think I'm more concerned of she recognizes all the fights that are out there, and she feels she has to call them out. She because the world is just the world's just full of bad stuff, and she wants it to be right. Now that's all fine and dandy, but the problem is her atmosphere. She acts like she's better than what she's criticizing. That's where the problem comes from. When you get it from Princess Carolyn does not act like she is better than what she's talking about. She will generally tell you you're better than what you have become. And she empowers the people she's talking to. Whereas Diane generally puts them down as if she has done better than her. And really, Diane is, on some levels, not objectively, but on some levels, has been worse because she has recognized before doing these acts that they were bad. And done them anyway. I feel like Diane's flaws are hold on. Yeah, I don't know why they hid that. I really hated her after she seduced Mr. Peanut Butter. That part upset me so much. Like, I know, okay, this is what you guys want to talk about. I always get guilty when I spend too much time talking about Diane, but this is what you guys want to talk about, so I'm going to keep answering your comments. Geez, that part upset me so much because I'm trying to be empathetic to these characters. Whenever they do something wrong, I try to see it from their perspective and understand them. And then I can still objectively say, okay, you still objectively did something wrong. Which is why I look at the whole BoJack and Penny situation. I look at the whole BoJack and Penny situation and I say, okay, BoJack, you know what you did was wrong. There's no way you can justify that. You know, I look at that with a lot of these characters in this show. But that moment, okay, let me calm down and focus my thoughts. On the when they were reviewing the Filbert, first of all, I was already mad at Diane because of the conversation she had with BoJack. I hate that conversation. But Miss Peanut Butter drives her home. She is about to get out. She stops. She makes this look that tells the audience she knows what she's about to do is not a good thing. You can tell, and she does this multiple times. She knows what she's about to do is not a good thing. And then she invites him in anyway. That's the stress I have with this character. She does this. You can clearly see that she knows what she's about to do is not the right thing. And then she does it anyway. And then when she's talking to other people, she gets on her high horse and chastises them. And the show then likes to support her. Like season 5, there was so much Diane support in season 5, and I mean atmospheric wise. Like I don't mean like the characters in the show are supporting her. I mean the atmosphere of the show was trying to say, hey, this character knows what they're talking about. They're kind of right. Look at them. That's what I said in my my other video about the top 10 worst blah blah blah. That season 5 was trying to make Diane the voice of reason, and I'm like, no, she's evolved past the voice of reason. She's as flawed as the other characters now. You can't just put her in the voice of reason spot because you want a message to be true. She's a person who represents the moral dilemma of millennials. She is acting as though she is better. She believes that she is right. There's another character who I believe is a better representation of millennials, but that is a good point, Zenny. Being self-aware doesn't help when she's so self-destructive. Yes, I agree with that. I very much agree with that. She's an SJW, a hypocrite who wants to be a hero, from guns to fracking to blah blah blah. Yeah, I have to be careful with that. I hate that I say that I have to be careful with the politics, because, like, there's the whole thing with YouTube. You feel like you should be able to say what you want, but YouTube wants to demonetize things that's not advertiser friendly, and then they suddenly find something that you said to not be advertiser friendly, like even though it's all part of their rules, and then you're like, oh, I gotta be careful how I address this. And it's like, if you become scared to talk about what they make you afraid to talk about, they win. Like, if I had, I'm a safe for work kind of guy, so if I had my way, nobody in the world would swear would swear or cuss or anything like that. But I know I can't put what I like as a firm hammer over people. But anyway, that's getting way too much off topic. Diane didn't want to be alone. Both are kinds of terrible. I feel like I missed... Oh, okay. I love the show, but BoJack should not be idolized. Diane didn't want to be alone. Both are kind, terrible people. Somebody had asked me earlier. I don't remember who it was. By the way, hello to everybody who said hi to me. I was trying to keep my brain focused. I get so unfocused very quickly. But there was somebody up earlier who they asked me, they said, why do I find that Todd is an uninteresting character? The thing is, I watch BoJack Horseman not because I relate to the characters. Most people relate to these characters in a lot of ways. I don't. The closest I come is Princess Carolyn, and then maybe Mr. Peanut Butter, but I really don't relate to any of the main characters at all. I watch BoJack Horseman because it's a good story. It's a really good story, which is why I got so upset with season 5, because I was looking at it only from a storytelling perspective. A lot of people were relating to what was going on still, and so that elicits a better response than somebody who's just in it for the story and they start noticing all these flaws. Todd's story, to me, is just not as interesting. He doesn't really develop that much. He does get some development. I'm not saying he doesn't get any development, but he doesn't get that much development. I feel that Todd from season 1 is most like his season 5 counterpart, which is all the main characters are very different from their season 1 counterpart, but Todd, I feel, is the most. Love Diane because she learns that virtue signaling does nothing. I think the show doesn't want to praise her. I disagree that the show doesn't want to praise her. Well, I don't think the show wants to praise her. I think when the show has a message it wants to get out, it was willing in season 5 to use Diane to push that message. Diane was the one saying, I didn't make this show so people could justify their behavior. And while I can't say I saw this myself, there were people saying that the creators did... not the guy who plays BoJack Horseman, but somebody higher than him was saying something similar. That was fun to say. Was saying something similar. And again, I can't confirm that. I didn't see it myself, but yeah, they were using Diane as a talking head basically to get their point across. And it annoyed me. It really annoyed me because they were trying to force Diane to be right about the situation, and Diane came off as so unlikable, partially because of that. She held BoJack's friendship as hostage, which I don't too much like saying, because she said, if this is how you're going to be, I can't be friends with you anymore. That's something I tell people they should say all the time. If somebody acts in a way you can't tolerate, then you should be willing to end the friendship. But a part of me feels like she was holding it hostage. Like she wanted the information from BoJack. She wanted him to admit things, and if he couldn't, then she was gonna take what he valued away from him. A part of me feels that way, but I don't feel it's necessarily justifiable for me to say that about her. But then when he lets it all out and tells her everything, there's no really big payoff from her. Like she acts like she feels nothing, and she's just like, goodbye, BoJack. And then when BoJack comes back to her again, she acts like nothing has happened. She's just like, oh, hey, BoJack, you're in my apartment again. I'm just gonna talk to you like normal. Like this was a very serious moment for BoJack, and you just took it. I have a theory about Diane. I think she has Alex with Mr. Peanut Butter when she's unhappy. Oh, Alex. it's it satisfies her in the same way BoJack does. Yeah, it releases dopamine. The act of sleeping with somebody in most animals releases dopamine into the brain, or at least some kind of pleasure chemical into the brain. You know, you're supposed to like the act, and when you have something that releases dopamine, people people do it. When you have something that releases dopamine, people do it more because it feels good. It's momentary pleasure. There's a lot of things that are momentary pleasure, and BoJack is supposed to be about avoiding momentary pleasure. That's one of BoJack's biggest faults. He usually chooses momentary pleasure and sticks with it, rather than seeking the long-term pleasure. Maybe that's why she married him. No, she married him because he saw the positive in life. They explain that in the show. Diane was surrounded by negativity. Her family was completely negative about a bunch of stuff. Like they were pretty much misogynistic idiots, and they ignored her contributions to the family completely. She got away from them and just went around more negative people. They just weren't negative towards her. Then she got away from them and she realized Mr. Peanut Butter showed her you can be positive about life, and he was positive about everything. They kind of yin yanged each other. The only thing is, Mr. Peanut Butter doesn't know how to be personal with somebody, so that's why she felt exhausted with him, because she's all about being personal and he's all about just going to the next thing to make you happy. I apologize on missing so many comments. They're going by. Diane blackmailed BoJack for info. Some say he deserved it, but I don't know. Really complex. I don't think he deserved it. I think I think BoJack's done bad things and should be called out on it. But like I said in one of the videos, if any other character had called BoJack out, then Princess Carolyn especially, like, it would have been a more powerful scene to me. The fact that it was Diane calling him out, who hadn't spent any time with, like, she barely spent any time with BoJack that season, season 5. Like, that was something she admitted. She said, "I barely know you anymore, BoJack." Yeah, because she had specifically tried to stay away from BoJack. She hadn't been observing him, like she had in season 1. Season 1, she knew everything about him. That's why Diane, in the last episode of season 1, when Diane cast judgment on BoJack, it's so earned. It's such a good scene. Like, I don't understand how people say season 1 is the worst season. It had such good build up to it, and it had really good storytelling. I didn't like the Sarah Lynn episode either in season 1, but everything else, like, I don't understand the criticism to it. Your thoughts for Diane for season 6? I don't know where season 6 is going at all. Season 5 threw me for a loop. I thought season 5 was going to be about BoJack trying to be this new good person that he set up for Hollyhock, but coming with boundaries in his way. Like, I thought he was going to get Me Too'd by Penny, and I thought Penny was going to meet Hollyhock, and she was going to force Hollyhock to choose a side, and I thought BoJack was just going to submit to the Me Too because because he didn't want Hollyhock to get hurt in some way. Like, those are the kind of obstacles I thought he was going to have to come across in season 5. But season 5 just decided, no, he's addicted, and addiction is really effective this time. Dealing with misogyny is an important theme in BoJack Horseman. Do you think Diane is meant to be the personification of that theme? I think Diane, because BoJack Horseman is an extremely left-leaning show, and I have to say this: I don't like getting into politics on my YouTube channel. I think I'd rather keep that off, because once you get into politics, that's all people focus on. But when it's relevant to the conversation, I'm naturally gonna have to talk about it. So, yeah. That being said, BoJack Horseman is an extremely left show. It doesn't even question a lot of things that censor or right people question. It just goes with them, and it says they are right. And rather than talking about whether they're right or they're wrong, they just go with it. There are sometimes they will bring it up, like thoughts and prayers. Like, I thought that was a good episode when it came to that subject, because usually they just go with whatever subject the left agrees with, rather than balancing it out. I think Diane, like, they want to be fair to what she represents, because she specifically said many times she's a third wave feminist. I think they want to be fair, and I think they want to show the downsides to it. I think, though, the show's heavy left-leaning bias kind of prevents them from going all the way with that, which I don't blame them for. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't. I think she. I think that's one way to look at it. I don't know if they had that intention for her to be the personification of misogyny, but rather just the fight against the dominating societal opinion in general. That's what Diane is. And I felt really intellectual saying that. But yeah, she represents the fight against the dominated opinion. She goes against that dominating opinion because Diane is an outsider who came in. So is Princess Carolyn, mind you, but Princess Carolyn came in when she was young. So she grew up and she adapted. Everyone else came into Hollywood, or at the time Hollywood, when they were young. And then they grew up in it and they've accepted it. Diane came into the lifestyle when she was late 20s, early 30s. And she's looking at all these people and like with their Hollywood mindsets. And she's like, I can't believe they think this way. You know, this was season 1 Diane. She's like, they think this way, but really, like, this is the reality. Which is why I think her character is still good, even though it's not likable, up to season 4. Because after season 1, her book became famous. She became famous. And she slowly got warped into the Hollywood mindset. She slowly saw that she wasn't as good a person as she thought. And her judging of all these people, she now had to judge herself. And she struggled with that. You know, that's a good arc for a character to go through, even if she fails at it. Which she did. She failed at it. Pardon me. Do you think they'll show some of the horrors of addiction, alcoholism? You mean like Sarah Lynn dying from it? Probably. Perhaps Diane is meant to be a hypocrite of the left. In the last episode of season 5, when Diane calls herself a hypocrite, that felt so unearned to me. Diane had no revelation that she was a hypocrite. Like, nobody really called her out on being a hypocrite. She didn't sit down and think about it. She just suddenly, in front of her boss, I'm a hypocrite. It's like, and I was just thinking, what, did somebody in the YouTube staff see my video where I called her a hypocrite? Like, where did that come from? It just came out of nowhere. Californians are pretty progressive, so seeing those themes in that show doesn't surprise me. Yeah. Is Diane a contrarian, or she just happens to be against certain dominating things? I think if something is dominating, she starts questioning it, because the dominating opinion has throughout history, like, people have reflected it as being bad. Though the dominating opinion, you know, is like, I want to say 95% of the time, the dominating opinion is the right one. It's just when it's wrong, it's blasted everywhere. Oh, this thing we used to think is true is no longer the case. You know, she's kind of like a modern day heretic. Not really. No, the modern day heretic is. I don't want to get there. It's too political. I think the new drug plot was meant to explain the difference between legal versus legal and how they affect people. Well, they affect people the same way. It's just one is stronger. And it's not really, because they haven't really, like, they've had moments where they've been doing illegal acts when it comes to addiction. They've had plenty of those. It's just that this time around, somebody they gave a real positive light on this. They said, you know, BoJack, he was trying to get himself under control until his mom died, and then he started spiraling. Once his mom passed away, that's when you really notice that the addiction picks up. And coincidentally, that's when he got his hands on the prescribed drugs. You notice it immediately because he says, I'm supposed to take 2 of these a day. He mentions how his schedule is messed up, and then he throws in 3. I immediately noticed that, which, by the way, Free Churro, one of the best episodes ever. She knows that shallow solutions to problems don't work, that it's easy to be a hypocrite. See, that to me, it doesn't feel easy to be a hypocrite, but maybe that's because I've grown all my life I've grown up in my life trying not to be a hypocrite. Like, I cannot stand hypocrisy. I really can't. A lot of times I will call myself out on my Hippocratic nature. I think most people are hypocrites once a couple times in their life. Like Diane, her character centers around hypocrite. I keep doing this as if it means something. I guess my hands are the atmosphere and I'm circling something that's there. But she centers the atmosphere around her character is that she's a hypocrite and that she's ungrateful. Like, we focus on the hypocrisy, but the ungrateful one is one too. She is constantly complaining about something. She has it good. She's had it good throughout most of the show. And I've said this before, she has had more than any other character the means to make herself happy. Like, she's had the financial stuff to make herself happy. Not in season 5, because her financial situation changed, but she's had, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. She's had the bottom part. Once you get the bottom part, you can start working on the higher parts, because the bottom part is physical. You need it to live. The upper parts are mental, which you feel like you need them to live. She is smart enough to explore the upper parts of Maslow's pyramid. BoJack is not experienced enough in thinking. He's not dumb, but he's not experienced enough in thinking about it to really do that. And Mr. Peanut Butter is just dumb, so he doesn't think about that stuff. Todd is dumb. He doesn't think about that stuff. Princess Carolyn is the most balanced of all of them. She has sat down and asked herself multiple times what makes me happy, which is why I respect Princess Carolyn's character so much, because she's doing what Diane needs to do. Like, examine yourself and understand what makes you happy. And I was going to make a video about this, but I don't know if I'm going to anymore. But the key, the first step to being happy, and this is also the key to being happy, you need to be thankful. You have to look at your life and say, what about my life is good? And people say, well, you can't control your emotions. I know you can't control your emotions, okay? I know you can't control your emotions, but you can sit down and objectively list that, hey, my lungs work. That's a good thing. Like, sit down and look at your life and see what's good about it. Do that all the time. That's something I learned as a kid. I watched this VeggieTales show, Madame Blueberry. You can't buy happiness. A thankful heart is a happy heart. That's the first step. Once you get that down, once you start appreciating what's in your life, or at least from an objective standpoint, again, you might not feel it, but when you start seeing it from an objective standpoint, that this thing that I have is good, you can then start moving on to obtaining a life that I would say you're happy to wake up to, for lack of a better term. Because a person who is always thankful but never gets what they want is more happy than a person who is never thankful but always gets what they want. I'm so wise. I don't know if this came, but I have another theory. The characters of the show will become, at one point, their parents. BoJack became deadbeat like his dad. BoJack didn't really become deadbeat, and his dad wasn't deadbeat either. They were both home for their child. They were both provided for their child. Or BoJack didn't have a child. They both provided for what family they had. PC is Ruthie, became a drunk like mom. I don't think PC will become a drunk like mom. I think she could possibly go down that route when the baby starts to become more of a hassle, and then she'll see it and realize what's going on, and stop herself before she gets too far down the line. She's such a perfectionist that she can't accept when things are good enough. She tries to fix things and is surprised when it doesn't work out. Yeah, people are not perfect. People can't be perfect, because once you get the perfect person from somebody else's perspective, they're not perfect. Like, you could have the person who always does the right thing, always looks out for somebody else, but from another person's perspective, they're making the world a worse place. So that's why, perfection is really non-existent in the way that Diane sees it. I've heard a theory, that they're killing Diane, given season 5 had an episode where she was a princess and the last shot is her going into a tunnel. Yeah, that's supposed to be a reference to Princess Diane. I've heard that too. I don't think they're doing that. I think that's just I don't want to say reaching, but I think that's people jumping to a conclusion that's not there, or coming to a conclusion, not jumping, coming to a conclusion that's not there. I think you can argue that Diane's childhood has affected her emotional intelligence. Obviously, Princess Caroline had a difficult time too, but it isn't up to the individual how they are affected. That last statement, it isn't up to the individual how they are affected. It isn't up to the individual how they emotionally perceive something, but they can stop themselves and say, "Hold up, let me examine this from another angle." You don't have control over your emotions, but you have control over your actions. So, for example, if somebody punches you in the face, and you can decide whether or not to punch them back, to walk away, or to call the police. Now, each one of those is how you are affected. You decide which route to take. Now, you can't stop yourself from feeling the adrenaline once they punch you in the face. You can't stop that. But you can be about to punch them and say, "Hold up, stop myself." You have willpower. Until somebody takes your willpower away, you've got all the power you need. Or you have the most important power, I should say, not all the power. Diane is not used to having a really good life, her childhood, so she keeps looking for things to be unhappy about. I felt that too. I don't know if she's still that way in season 5, but it really seems like she looks for things to be unhappy. And some of the things she says isn't necessarily false, like, the whole thing with Filbert, but it's such a focused perspective from her point of view. It's like, look at it from somebody else's point of view and see how they are feeling about it. I'd love to see more of Holly next season. Holly, this season should have had more Hollyhock. Season 5 should have had more Hollyhock. I don't know why they only included her in an episode, in a 10th of an episode. I do know why. Because freaking Hollyhock makes BoJack happy. Even in the episode she was in where he was spiraling, at the end he stopped because he realized he had a negative impact on Hollyhock. And when she just told him, "I love you," you see that smile on his face. He's just genuinely happy that somebody genuinely cares about him. Not who he is on TV. And even with all the stuff he put her through, she was still willing at the end to say, "I love you." You see that smile, and it makes me feel good, because, people, seeing BoJack get that always gives me a warm feeling, because he did earn that. Season 4, he earned that. He earned that affection from Hollyhock. And, I don't know, I just like it. Question, why do you think PC and Diane and BoJack diverged so much, even though they all had bad childhoods and dreams and continue to have some sad moments? Their characters are so different. Well, I don't think PC had a bad childhood. I think she had a more rough childhood than the average child. But her mom still cared about her, even though her mom was a drunk and she did most of the work. But I don't think her childhood was bad. I think it was tough. BoJack had a horrible childhood. Diane, I'm not going to say her childhood was good. But I feel like she was more... I'm less sympathetic to it. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say it was better than the other two. I'm going to say I'm less sympathetic to it. Mainly because it's hard for me to see it from her perspective. I will admit that. It's hard for me to see Diane's childhood from her perspective. I understand that objectively what her family did to her was just not a good way to go about raising a child. They constantly showed they didn't care about her and constantly rejected her contributions, and they constantly made fun of her. You're gonna want to get away from that. They diverged so much because of how they were shown affection. Princess Carolyn was shown affection. She just wasn't shown it through actions. It was mainly through words. Which is how she goes about other people. She's an agent. She talks to them through words. She can manipulate people. But it's also her personal belief. She had something... It also comes from what inspires them. Princess Carolyn was inspired by Amelia Earhart. who was constantly told you can't do something. No woman has ever done this. And she flew in that video. She flew to the sun, and that's what Princess Carolyn believed. That no matter how much the odds were against her, she could fly to the sun. She believed the movie star mentality. I love the movie star speech. It's whether or not you believe it's true, it says so much about Princess Carolyn's mentality. She really believes that she's a movie star who deserves happiness by the end of her movie. BoJack's inspiration was I can't remember. Secretariat. There you go. BoJack's inspiration was Secretariat. Secretariat, how BoJack viewed him was that he was good. He was just good. And eventually he learned about himself that it wasn't just that he was good, but that he was flawed as well. So BoJack, as he grew up, he wanted the world to see him as good. No matter how much his flaws he had, he wanted the world to appreciate him, because his parents, the people who were supposed to appreciate him no matter how horrible he was, hated him. They thought he didn't deserve to exist. So that's what set him down the path he was on. With Diane, her family was all about doing whatever made the boys and the dad comfortable. Like, even the mom was completely complicit with that. Even when it was to the detriment of the family, it was all about making the boys comfortable. And so Diane, she starts seeing how favored the family is towards her brothers and towards her father, and how disrespectful they are to her. And she's wondering why nobody is looking out for her, who is the little guy. What was her inspiration? Horsing around. Horsing around was her inspiration. She wanted people who looked out for each other. That's why she's always going around guilt tripping people about looking out for other people. You should be looking out for the little guy. Even when she goes to forget his name, the snow leopard, when she goes to him, she gets, even though he is protecting these children, he is providing with food and shelter and whatnot, she is angry at him because he doesn't feel it. He doesn't feel the care, and she wants people to feel sympathy for other people. And that's something I was thinking about making a video about it too, but again, now I'm not sure if I'm going to, is St. Clair. A lot of people look at St. Clair, they think, oh, he's just a horrible person. Me, I think St. Clair has empathy but no sympathy. He feels bad for these kids in this, well, he understands that these kids are in a bad situation. And he, like he said, he stayed up at night, he would feel guilty. So he goes out to help them, but he knows that they're most likely not going to survive anyway. He still wants to go out and help them, and at the same time build his ego so people knows he's helping them. But he knows they're not going to survive, so that's why he was telling Diane, you don't want to build these kids' dreams up. And she's getting mad at him. It's like, why would I not want to do that? And then the next day, boom, the explosion happened. And he's like, this is why you can't get attached to these. Because if you get attached to every single one and this keeps happening, you will go crazy. Empathy but no sympathy. Never thought of it that way. Makes you think that perhaps Diane and many other characters just want sympathy. Yeah, I said that earlier in the video. I think Diane is completely sympathetic but has no empathy. I don't think she can understand where other people are coming from. Miss Peanut Butter also has no empathy. That's something I really want to point out. That's probably Miss Peanut Butter's biggest flaw. He has no empathy whatsoever. He cannot understand where other people are coming from. I really like PC as a character, though. She has flaws, but she's the one character I root for. Yeah, because Princess Carolyn, on all levels, works for her happiness. On all levels, she works for it, and that's why you root for her. Maybe Diane's guilt about her actions and individual self-awareness is redeeming. Even if she hasn't got as far as fixing her flaws yet, it may be better than living in denial of misconduct. Wait, I think I misread that. I mean, I think that might be the route they might be pushing her towards, but again, it doesn't feel natural. I come to BoJack Horseman for the storytelling. I don't want the character to just learn their lesson. I want it to be a progress. I want their lesson shown to them and them to examine themselves, to understand what's going on. BoJack didn't just learn how he had to treat people. Through actions with Hollyhock, he saw how putting someone else first led to a good relationship. And that's why I was at such a high point with season 4. It was so good to me. If she was grateful to Mr. Peanut Butter and gave her a library, grateful if she wasn't complaining. But taking care of others makes PC forget that sometimes she needs other people. I still don't understand why she didn't want to get back with Ralph in ancient history. Any ideas? I think that happened because Ralph wasn't in the show anymore, and they just needed closure on it. I can't think of any in-show reason why they wouldn't get back together, because I don't understand this, because they showed Princess Carolyn was still attracted to him. Like, she was asking, "Oh, do you have another girlfriend?" And he's saying, "No, I don't have a girlfriend." She's like, "Oh, I'm not saying anyone either." It's like, why would you say that if you're not still attracted to him? And then she's saying all throughout the thing, "Oh, I wish you had stayed with me. I wish you didn't leave. I wish you had came back." She's saying she wish he had came back. And then he stands firm. He says, "You know what? We're both going to raise this child. You clearly want me to be with you. You clearly willing to adopt. Let's get back together." She's like, "No, you don't have to do this by yourself." "No, but I want to." Did you forget season 4? Did you forget everything you learned in season 4? You want to do everything by yourself, Princess Carolyn. It makes things harder. It is okay to ask for help. And I know the lesson they were trying to give, that she doesn't need help, even though she can get it. But I feel like it went completely against everything they taught her in season 4. Todd's gonna die in season 6. If that happens, they got me. I mean, I expect maybe BoJack to die, maybe Mr. Peanut Butter to die, or maybe Diane. If Todd dies, that will get me. Jeez, that will completely throw me for a loop. You think BoJack will lose his job and be rejected by Hollywood if or when the thing regarding him gets out in public? Hollywood might fire him because he makes them look bad, maybe. Hollywood itself can't fire people. Hollywood is just a place with a mentality. There are plenty of people who have done worse than BoJack Horseman. They still get work. That was what BoJack is a... That was what the episode BoJack the Feminist was about. Ooh, I said the word. Is my channel still up? That's what that episode was about. That superstars, they do these horrible, horrible things, but because they're based on a society as a whole is way more forgiving than the individual. And so even if what happened with BoJack comes out like as a Me Too or something, it might affect him or something he's working on, but it'll eventually blow over, unless he sticks with it. And even then, if he sticks with it, there's a certain part of society that's going to hail him as a hero for sticking with it. In HW, people don't get fired; they just disappear based on their yeah. BoJack disappeared for 20 years without getting a job, and he was fine because he made so much money off of horsing around, and he still makes money from horsing around. He still gets it. And since Herb died, the profits for it shot up, so he'll be perfectly fine work wise. BoJack's primary concern is being loved. He wants people to value him. And right now he wants a real relationship. He wants people to value things about him. That's why he felt so guilty about the Secretariat movie, because that wasn't him. The Secretariat movie was a computer doing all. It just had his name on it. Season 6 prediction: BoJack returns to using, and actually has. I don't know. They've already done the whole OD thing. They've done it twice now. They've done it 3 times actually. Well, season 6, that I don't think that really counts as an OD, but with Sarah Lynn, I don't think they should even go that route. They've already confirmed with Sarah Lynn the worst things that can happen when it comes to addiction. So, well, it depends on your perspective. Some people think that the symptoms you have to live with are worse than actual death. Diane entering a tunnel likely represents her entering a darker place mentally. She's been in her apartment for a year and still hasn't unpacked her boxes, symbolizing she can't move on from her past. Oh, so somebody said people were telling me that people cut their hair all the time when they exit out of a relationship. It helps to personally signify that you're changing yourself. And I'm like, I should have spot that. Even if people didn't do that in real life, that's such obvious symbolism. How could I not see that? I don't know. I liked Diane's hair. That was the thing. Like I was rewatching season 1, and Diane says, "I always pictured myself as," I forget who she says, but she says, "but with better hair." And BoJack says, "You do have great hair." And she's like, "Yeah, I do." And I'm like, "Then why did you cut it?" Like I really liked her hair. I was really mad about that. uh, If Sterling Death never had a substance, if she was like in love by people, she wouldn't die or anything, and had gone to get help. Well, the whole Sarah Lynn thing is Sarah Lynn is pretty much the most tragic character when you think about it. Um, and again, like BoJack says, I know that's not the most woke and progressive thing to say because Sarah Lynn was rich her entire life with people loving her entire life. Even when she was a has-been, people loved her. And it's like I said before, if the person who always gets what they want is not thankful, they're not happy. Sarah Lynn lived that life of getting what she wanted all the time, never being told no. And she still hated it. She still hated everything about her life. And she didn't have to. That's the tragic part. She didn't have to. She could have been an architect. She could have been an architect who was a secret agent at night if she wanted to. That's just how much money she had. Like if she wanted to do all that stuff, she could. And it's so tragic because when she finally realizes it, there it went. No opportunity. It's done. She can't change it now. Yeah, this conversation just got heavy. Sarah Lynn had help, but BJ was selfish. Yeah, and it was. Yeah, I can't be mad at the show because it was such good storytelling. Sadly, I knew Sarah Lynn was going to depart before it happened because I saw the Mysterious Mr. Enter review, and in that he said drugs have a realistic effect like ODing and dying. And I was like, when I started watching BoJack Horseman, and every episode somebody was doing drugs, I was waiting for somebody to die because he said that. And also he said, and if somebody's going to die, it's going to be right before it cuts to the credits. I'm like, well, somebody dies, and it's going to happen right before it cuts to the credits. And then in season 3, they started doing. I was like, okay, this is it. I'm sorry. It sucks because that, he didn't. And the things he said didn't really spoil anything, but I've seen storytelling, so I get so involved in storytelling that even the minorest of details like that spoils it for me. That's why I'm that Sheldon friend who's like, don't tell me it's exciting, you're spoiling it for me. It's like, that wasn't a spoiler. It is to me. That's how it is for me. Any minor detail spoils things for me. Yeah, the haircut thing is a trope in entertainment. Well, it's also a trope in real life, like, apparently. I'm not a big relationships guy, but apparently it is a thing in real life. My old question got lost. Since Diane is single, do you think she and BoJack will start a relationship? I desperately hope not. It's a possibility. A lot of people do ship them, but I really don't want to. I think they have or had good dynamic as friends. So I'm really hoping this show doesn't ship them. Was Flip Princess Carolyn the whole time? Hold on, I have to watch season 5 and see. Calling it now, BoJack and Diane are going to sleep together. It's going to happen. They keep hinting at it. They might keep hinting at it just because people are shipping them so much. I, for one, think that would be a horrible choice storytelling-wise. I think it would ruin their chemistry. I agree they are toxic for each other. Remember, she hid in his house. Well, yeah, they are toxic for each other, but I'm talking about from a storytelling perspective, not from a personal perspective. From a storytelling perspective, they have good chemistry because they are friends, because they are involved in each other's life, but not that deeply. Not to the point where they see everything that happens, but where they tell each other things that happens and how they can confide in each other as friends. As somebody who they are willing to let the other one judge them on pretty much everything. I feel bad for Diane because she is alone again. Now BJ is gone. PB is a wash. Maybe she will toughen up and grow. Like the lesson from that one episode where Diane went to Vietnam, it was that she's not afraid to be alone. Um, which kind of goes against what she said in season 4, where she said she was afraid to be without BoJack because he made sense. I think that was more of the thing about Diane. I think that was more of a generic episodes for other people who are going through a similar situation than it was for Diane herself. That's probably why I didn't get that much out of that episode. I think if BJ and Diane would sleep together, it would be because they're both at rock bottom, and their rock bottoms always make one another feel better, if that makes sense. It's possible. My throat is getting so dry because I want to keep reading questions. I need to drink water. And by the way, thank you guys so much for stopping by. Like this is what I want. I've said this so many times. I treat my channel like a book club. Like we've all seen the same material, and we all just want to get together and talk about it. Like that's pretty much all I wanted from the channel. So thank you guys all for being here. What do you think is gonna happen with PC's porcupine baby? I just wish PC all the happiness imaginable as a mother. PC is going to have to learn that she has to put her child first. And like somebody said, she might start delving into drinking to kind of push that back. Because PC has always put her job first. Like, always. She's always put her job first. She's going to have to put her kid first now. I'm pretty sure PC is wealthy enough that if she wanted to, she could retire. But she doesn't want to. She likes the exciting life. But she's going to have to do with what Rutabaga did and be able to call it a night at 5. Because you got to go home to your kids. I just realized Todd still lives with PC. And there's an episode where he gets the wacky shenanigans while watching her baby. Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's that basically writes itself. They should do that as a B plot though. I love thinking about this as a book club. It's charming. Yeah, like my whole thing when I first started really getting into the internet was that, I have a very similar story to a lot of people. I was antisocial. I still am antisocial, but I had hobbies I wanted to talk to other people about. And when I discovered like the internet was more than just a place to play video games on, you could actually talk to people and communicate with people. I really started like doing stuff, just going out there. Like I used to be on a podcast that I did all the time where I talked about The Legend of Zelda. I did that for a while, and that was fun. I had a bunch of YouTube channels that I did. And I just wanted to talk to people. I wanted to communicate with people about stuff. Then I discovered Reddit, and I was like, what is this? Just a place where you can go and talk to people? Wait, season 6 has been out? No, season 6 is not out as far as I know. I'll check right quick, but I'm pretty sure BoJack premieres in the fall of next year. Maybe this year, but I'm pretty sure it's next year. I love when Netflix just recommends BoJack Horseman to me. It's like, really? Really? Like season 5 just came out last November, or no, it was September. Yeah, it just came out last fall. Have your thoughts on season 5 changed since making your top 10 list? No, they haven't. I pretty much feel the exact same way as I feel when I made that list. I think there's still the general conception that I don't like what happens in Free Churro, or I don't like that BoJack's mother still had a hold on him. And it's like, no, I think that's great. I think she should still have a hold on him. My argument was presentation. I don't think they demonstrated it enough properly. Like, all they needed was like one line of BoJack thinking about his mother and then going to the funeral in Free Churro. I think trauma should work the way it did in the show. I just think they didn't show it properly. Excuse me, clear my throat. All these question answering. It's fun though, I love it. I'm supposed to freaking record for a video later. I don't think that's gonna happen. Because I am working on a video this weekend, but I'm talking to that screen. You guys over here. I am working on a video this weekend, but it's not for my channel. It's a collab. So I got to finish that up, editing tomorrow, and then I got a bunch of other stuff I got to do tomorrow, so I'm not going to have time for a video this week, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. The only videos I really have time to make are the miraculous videos, and those are the least popular videos on the channel. I love making them, but like I actively lose subscribers whenever I upload one of those. I find that funny because I do love making them, but clearly nobody likes watching them. I can't wait till the poo-poo hits the fan for Mr. Peanut Butter in season 6. I can. I think that I hate. I guess it's called the liar reveal. I didn't like to call it that, but I hate when the lesson is you shouldn't lie. I said this in my top 10 things of season 4 when I was so happy that BoJack just confessed to Hollyhock, oh, I don't actually know who your mother is, but I'll still help you find her. It's like, yes, thank you. Do that. Everybody, whoever makes a show, just have the character do that. I hate it when the character has to hide something and then people eventually find out and the lesson winds up being don't lie. You shouldn't have lied. It only made things worse. What would be your dream crossover episode? It wouldn't be with BoJack Horseman. I think there might be a misconception with me and adult entertainment. I actually don't like adult entertainment that much. I'm fine with like Futurama, The Simpsons, but I don't like Family Guy. Robot Chicken's funny, but I don't watch it that much. I don't watch adult entertainment that much. I'm just known for reviewing it. So when I did that poll of what thing I should review, everybody was like, review Big Mouth. And I'm like, ah. Because not only do I not like adult entertainment that much, but I'm a prude. Like, sexual stuff makes me very uncomfortable. And that's all Big Mouth is about. It's not that we hate Miss Ladybug. It just doesn't have as much depth as our opinion as BoJack and even Disenchantment. Well, it's also because of the type of video it is. It's like this video where I'm sitting in front of a camera and just talking all the time, and I'm not that good off script. Whereas with my BoJack videos, I tend to go into a deep script. I stay focused, and you're not hearing me saying all the time. It's just the miraculous videos are probably the worst produced videos. Because I want to keep it simple. I want it to have some kind of thing on my channel where I'm just keeping it simple. Because I always overcomplicate my videos. Even that I overcomplicate. It was just supposed to be like this with me talking into a camera. But I added pictures and titles and stuff like that. Not really anticipating the liar's reveal, but just PB realizing he has to grow up even though Diane spelled it out for him. That's why you can't just tell people lessons. That's exactly why you can't just tell people lessons. They have to realize it. They have to see it. It has to be demonstrated. That's why Mr. Peanut Butter's booze was like, oh, I hate Mr. Peanut Butter's booze. I hate that. That is my least favorite episode, Mr. Peanut Butter's booze. It used to be Brat Brat Pew Pew, but Mr. Peanut Butter's booze has won. I feel like Diane got ruined in season 5. Very realistic character, but yikes. She upset me so much with her actions. Don't even get me started when she wrote that scene in Filbert. Yeah, she just became so unlikable. And to me, season 5 is actually the one time where I'll say I think her character was bad, objectively. But I think a lot of things, as I said before, Diane, BoJack, and Mr. Peanut Butter, all objectively, I think their characters were handled really poorly. I may not have liked Diane. My history with Diane is season 1, she was my favorite. Season 2, I think she was still my favorite in season 2. I was just really disappointed that she failed her big opportunity. Like, this was her opportunity to be the example she was telling everybody else to be, and she failed it. But I think she was still my favorite. Season 3, I stopped liking her because she was repeating her mistakes. And then season 4, she became my least favorite because of how ungrateful and hypocritical she was. Big Mouth isn't that great in my opinion. How do you feel about PB and Pickles? The biggest thing I think about with Pickles is that how is she not played by Tara Strong? She sounds just like Tara Strong. How is she not played by her? Uh, Pickles to me is very annoying, but that I think that was the point, to get another Mr. Peanut Butter who is even more Mr. Peanut Butter than Mr. Peanut Butter. If you go back at look at season 1, like I said, all the characters were different. Mr. Peanut Butter was much smarter in season 1. Like, stealing the D is not something a now Mr. Peanut Butter would do. Like, that was actually smart and conniving of him. And even hiding the proposal, like pretending that it was a secret, that's not something now Mr. Peanut Butter would do. He's actually pretty different than how he was back in season 1, excuse me. Big Mouth has an interesting concept, but the way it's done is just bad. The show itself is pretty garbage. Voice acting is cool, but the pacing between sentences is terrible. With Big Mouth, it's extremely hard for me to get into. I don't know how far I can even... I seen the first episode. I don't know how far I can get into it before I have to call it quits, because I'm just so uncomfortable watching it. Big Mouth was a wasted opportunity, in my opinion. They dealt with things like maturity, family affairs, sexuality, and maternal-paternal love, but all that was covered by their disgusting humor. Yeah, I can't do it. The where he starts imagining things while he's playing basketball, it's like, no. How dare you hate Brat Brat Pew Pew? We got the greatest song in TV out of it. That's an episode that deals in politics. So I'm going to try to do my best to stay away from it. I was actually considering doing a review of Brat Brat Pew Pew. Now that the channel is like kind of dying out, I was like, well, I can pretty much do whatever I want now, because I don't have to worry about losing views and stuff. But I'm still just really tempted to stay away from it, because it's so politically centered. Like, you can do an episode on Thoughts and Prayers and get away with it. Brat Brat Pew Pew it's something that would have an effect on your channel, I think, for a good time. It would eventually pass. All things eventually pass. But it would have a good effect on you. But you are good at reviewing adult, at least smartly written content. It's hard to get deep with show that's not that deep to begin with. I think I'm good at reviewing stories in general. Like, that's something I was always told growing up, that I could read a story and then write a paper on it really well. With my channel, BoJack Horseman has a lot of deep content in it. I think if I were to go and analyze something like Avatar: The Last Airbender, I would have similar results. Something that has good storytelling value. Because other than BoJack Horseman, like, what adult entertainment have I really reviewed? The only thing I can think of is Death, Love, and Robots, and I didn't even go into that deep of a review for it. Like, I just did a general, hey, you should go check out this show. Which, yeah, I really hope they make a season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots. On the point of spelling out lessons, I think the point is PB and people in general don't want to listen to lessons spelled out to them, and they'll only learn when they face comeuppance for their actions. I think that's true. I don't know if that's the point of Mr. Peanut Butter. PC is always telling BoJack he's stupid, and he never realizes this until he irrevocably hurts someone. Well, he does realize it. He just doesn't really do anything about it until it irrevocably hurts someone. Like, he's just like, this is just how I am, and it sucks, but I have to live with it. He's always thought since he was born, because his parents have always told him he's not worth existing. And he's been desperately trying to find some way to disprove that, but then he just eventually winds up saying, you know what, they're right, I'm not worth existing. But it's not really political, it's surgical. Up and pray, no, I'm not gonna sing that. Do you think Diane sees BJ kind of like a big brother or a bad father who needs help? I kind of got that impression from her interactions with BJ. Yeah, a big brother, I think, is a good way to put it. They act like siblings. They really do. They are very comfortable about talking about their most precious thoughts to each other. And that's something I would more so see from siblings or really good friends than I would, I should say, at least on TV tropes of love interests. Like I said, I'm not that big of a relationship guy personally, so I don't want to cast judgment in that area. But from what I see on TV tropes and stuff, how usually a guy will confess more to his best friend than he will his wife or girlfriend, and usually a girl will confess more to her girlfriend than they will their boyfriend or husband or love interest, whatever you want to say. I agree, Shady. Are you going to review F is for Family? It's very deep. Yes. Man, I'm so mad because I wanted to review it as soon as I was done with it. But capturing footage for me is such a hassle. And I have like 5 reviews planned for it already. Like, the story isn't as good as BoJack Horseman. But the lessons it teaches, like I said, I don't relate to any of the characters in BoJack Horseman. But I do relate to the ones in F is for Family. And that's the interesting thing. Like, yeah, F is for Family with how it deals with your role in a family. I think I don't see that as much. The closest thing I see that is generally in, like, King of the Hill, but even King of the Hill didn't do it in the same way F is for Family did. So I'm really eager to review that. I would say the things I'm most eager to review right now are F is for Family. I want to finish up Disenchantment. I still got like 3 more videos of Disenchantment to do. Yeah, I'd say those are my most top 2. F is for Family, I feel, is a better show than Big Mouth. Do you watch Disenchantment? I started watching it with the idea that it will be bad, but it's actually pretty good. I have a couple videos on Disenchantment. I would recommend you not watch them. If you're into the show, don't watch them until the end, until you get to the end. Basically, the first video is me saying, I didn't like most of the show, but I think it's worth the watch. Everyone should watch it to the end, or at the very least, watch these specific episodes. But the videos after that, I start like spoiling things and getting deep into the characters. F is for Family is kind of like what would happen if BoJack became a father and realized it's not all. I don't think so. Like, I don't think F is for Family really relates that much to BoJack, because BoJack is about being people, being people in general. F is for Family is about being a specific role in society. Frank is all about being a father, a husband, a man. That's all what Frank is in F is for Family. I can't remember any of the other characters' names, but his wife is all about being a woman, a mother, a wife in society. And the children are the same way. Favorite new character from season 5, Gina. Freaking Gina. Gina, as soon like as she, the line when BoJack said nobody wants to be alone, and Gina said, I do. I always want to be alone. I wish I were alone right now. That's what won me over. Like, I'm an introvert. I'm an antisocial introvert. So I cannot stand when people are like, oh, you always want somebody with you. You know, you're going to be lonely. Like, people walk up to me and try to talk to me, and I'm like, why are you talking to me? What is the point of this? I understand that humans are social by nature, but like me, I'm social through means like this. Like, talking to people on the internet. That's how I'm social. The physical being of people is just like, no. I am, what am I? I think I'm ISTP on Myers-Briggs. Last I tested. My favorite character from season 5 was actually Flip. Any new upcoming shows you got your eyes on? Not really. I'm trying to keep pace with the shows I'm currently reviewing. I want to keep watching Trolls Arcadia Academia or something like that. I've seen the first episode and I was gonna like maybe do a quick review on it, but I have to watch more. People say it's like a good version of Miraculous. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen my Miraculous review, even though I prominently review it on this channel, I don't think it's a good show. I think it has potential. The strangling scene was disturbing, but didn't hit me as hard. By the way, if I sound like I'm getting tired, that's just because my throat. I don't talk a lot. YouTube, people who see me in real life and then see me on YouTube, they get so like ecstatic because they're like, "Look at you, you're actually talking," and then I'm just like, "Yeah." No, I don't talk a lot in real life, so if I saw them getting tired, that's just because I don't use my throat a lot. The strangler seemed disturbing, but didn't hit me as hard as season 4. The aftermath of her refusing to let BoJack confess to protect her career is what really hit me. I mean, it makes sense to me. It really made sense, and I think I think Gina's entire arc was really well done. It really built up her character. You know, she was jaded. The reason she became jaded was because over time her dreams just didn't work out. It wasn't that she didn't really try for them, or no, it wasn't that she tried for them and failed. They just didn't work out. And then BoJack convinced her to, hey, put herself out there, try to achieve your dream, and because of that, she felt failure. And failure hurts. Failure hurts a lot. I've said this so many times on my channel. The fear of failure is such a thing, man. That's probably why I'm so biased towards Gina, because she experienced the fear of failure, and it's something I experience all the time. Like, I am so afraid of failing. Like, even my regular workplace, if I mess up, that is dreadful to me. Like, I can't stand it. Maybe next week should get some more good adult cartoons with good moral characters people can relate to. Well, I think moral characters kind of hinder, because from what I've seen, a lot of adults lose some of their morality. And so it's hard for them to be relatable. I'm not going to say all of them. I mean, personally, I feel like I've kept my morality for the most part, but flaws are what make characters relatable. So if you make them completely moral, well, I shouldn't say that. No, because no, I take that back. Because King of the Hill, Hank was a completely moral character, and he was a great character. Yeah, I completely take that back. I think Miraculous is just so repetitive. It's the same story told 100 different ways. Yeah. I mean, and if it wanted to be repetitive, it could be allowed to be repetitive. It should just stick with that. You know, it tries to build up this continuing narrative instead of keeping the episodes episodic. Like, it could have gone the Kim Possible route where there is an overarching plot, but it doesn't really connect. The overarching plot doesn't really connect to each other. Like Kim Possible, even though it was a timeline of stories, each episode was mostly separated from the other ones. They might call back to an episode like 10 episodes ago or something, but they weren't really connected to each other. Miraculous tried to, from the get-go, connect their episodes. Be like, there is this bad guy who wants something, and you guys have it, and, you know, it just doesn't work. A lot of the things don't work. What was the saddest scene from BoJack? Well, I think objectively the saddest scene from BoJack was Sarah Lynn's death, but I knew it was coming, so it wasn't the saddest scene for me. For me, I can't think of any moments that genuinely made me cry, and I'm actually a very easy person to make cry. I used to be really good, but then I saw this one movie where a bunch of sad things happened at once, and now I just cry like that. But BoJack Horseman, I don't think has ever really made me cry. As far as I'm aware. So I can't really say that there's any saddest scene for me personally. And it's also, like I said, I don't relate to these characters. You know, a lot of people, they feel these characters' pains. I don't. The lessons every character is learning in BoJack Horseman, I had those lessons repeatedly drilled into me as a child. And I was told to live those lessons, and I did. You know, that's why I live my life thankfully. I look at things in my life and I say, I'm thankful for this, I'm thankful for that. And it creates a more happy atmosphere. I know you can't buy happiness. I know you need real relationships with people, and you need to be honest and open and put people first in relations. Like, I know these things. So I don't relate to these characters. But it's a good story. So, but for a lot of people, they didn't necessarily have that upbringing, you know, and they're just learning it now. And that's why they relate to BoJack and the other characters in BoJack so much. But you've done so well. I'm not sure what that is referring to. I probably said something that's a response to. What in your... No, I read that. For me, the saddest scene was the end of season 4 episode Ruthie. Oh! Ruthie, though. Man, Ruthie was sad, but it didn't make me like cry. I was just shocked. And people said that twist happened before in an episode of How I Met Your Mother, and I'm kind of sad because like to me it just felt so unique and genuine. I've never seen How I Met Your Mother though, but goodness gracious, like that blew my mind. I was waiting. I was like, wait, what? She's not real? Because the whole episode, I was like, well, I know she gets a happy ending. I know she gets a happy ending. Well, I know she gets a... Oh, the saddest scene to me is probably Princess Carolyn crying. That's probably the saddest scene. Because she had... I felt... That's like... That episode, I genuinely related to Princess Carolyn. Princess Carolyn is the closest character I relate to. I don't always relate to her, but she's the closest one I do relate to. And I felt so bad for her, like, because she works so hard to achieve her happiness. And it's not like the other characters where their own vices stop them from achieving their happiness. No, it's just bad luck. It's just life doesn't like Princess Carolyn. And it seems so unfair that the person who works so hard to achieve something fails. And I felt that. I felt that so badly. Shows like Kim Possible set the bar so high. Yeah, we had some really good shows in the 2000s. I'm a millennial, by the way. Born in 91. We had some really good shows in the 2000s. 90s had some good shows too, but they're a bit overhyped. Like, you know, Hey Arnold. Yeah, that was genuine. That was a good show. People really like Rocko's Modern Life for some reason. I don't know. I like Rocket Power, but people say objectively it is bad. But I still liked it. But you know, Rugrats and I'm trying to think of other 90s stuff. For me, the scene that hurt the most was Charlotte walking in on BoJack and Penny and Honey Sugarman's lobotomy. I had to take an hour and a half break with those episodes. Yeah. I love the Honey and Sugarman lobotomy. Okay, I was thinking about something else. Yeah, that's a pretty sad one. Alright, how long have we been streaming? Almost 2 hours. Your favorite ice cream, favorite season? What? Are you asking what my favorite ice cream is? Because that's that's chocolate with Reese's mixed into it. Reese's and actual peanut butter. Favorite season? If you're talking about BoJack Horseman, season 4. Let me check on something. Ah, no, I didn't mean to click that. I was just checking. Things are a lot more censored nowadays, and that limits them from reaching their full potential. Yeah. I don't mind censorship. Really, I don't, as long as you are fair and open about it. Like, if you, from the start, you say, these are things you cannot do if you're going to do it here, like, then I'm fine. Now, the only people who shouldn't be censoring is the government. You think Rick and Morty is overrated in your thoughts about... No, I want to watch Rick and Morty. I have seen so many clips from it, and it's, like, hilarious, but I don't have access to the actual show. I've only seen clips. I don't think the storytelling is going to be, like, as deep as BoJack Horseman, but I think the comedy is on point. Like... You know, a lot of people compare like BoJack Horseman to Rick and Morty, and I'm like, yeah, they both deal with existential nihilism, but really that's all there is when you get down to it. That's all the comparison there is, and they're both comedies. But Rick and Morty is like mostly comedy. BoJack Horseman lulls you in with comedy. No, I don't have Hulu. I get most of my entertainment from Netflix and YouTube. What do you think of Joseph Sugarman, Beatrice's father? I think he's a product of his times. I don't really get that mad at him because I think that's how people acted back then. I've seen people who act that exact same way just on different topics in today's society. Hi, I'm a new subscriber. I love your stuff, man. Well, welcome aboard, Regan Burkett. They're gonna unsubscribe now because I messed up their name. What are your thoughts on Fish Out of Water, the silent episode? I think it was trying to be artsy, but it didn't do as much as it could have with the concept of no sound. So it didn't really leave that much of an impression in my mind. It was just the episode where they didn't talk, rather than like Free Churro, which really had something deep to say. Deep, deep to say. All right, y'all seem to be dying down on the questions. What do you think about F is for Family so far? I heard you're doing a video on it. Can't wait. I'm very I feel a lot of empathy and sympathy towards the characters, particularly Frank. I'm a little disappointed in the oldest son because in the first episode he was the best character, but his character changed as the show went on, and it's not as good. He's still a good character, but he's not as good. But I'm like Frank is like the main thing I want to talk about in F is for Family, because for like somebody who I'm not like at all, I'm not like Frank at all. I relate to him on so many levels. It astounds me how I cannot be like this person at all and yet still relate to him. I'm late to the game, but can you nutshell why people hate Diane? Oh yeah, the real reason should be in quotations. The quote unquote real reason why people hate Diane. I was basically talking about an old argument that comes across my video every now and again, that people hate Diane because supposedly they're misogynists, and they only hate Diane because she's a woman, whereas BoJack is a man and he's done much worse and they're still willing to forgive him. And I was just trying to tell people that argument, if you're trying to convince anybody who doesn't already agree with you that argument exists, you're not going to, the way you're currently doing it is not working, because there's more differences to BoJack and Diane than just the sex. There's a lot of differences, and you have to be able to demonstrate that is a relatable difference. That is not just a random difference. Because literally, I could just say, well, the reason people hate Diane more is because she's a human and BoJack's a horse, and people like horses more than they like humans. Like, no, you have to prove that. You have to be able to demonstrate that. Are you going to finish your series on disenchantment? Yes, I am. Yes. I said this earlier. That's one of the videos I'm most eager to continue, because there's a very important message I want to get out with that series. I'm hoping I can get out before the beginning of season 2 of Disenchantment, because by then talking about season 1 will be old news. But it's actually less related to the show and more related to real life, the message I want to get out. But I have to talk about the show first so people understand it. That's why I have to make several videos on it. Yeah. Go on Verve and watch Gary's Demons. I will consider it. Rick and Morty isn't as deep as BoJack, and it does suffer from edgy syndrome sometimes, but it does have its very real moments. Well, I just want to see it for the humor. Like, I've seen some of the real moments, and like I feel like Steven Universe has more real moments than Rick and Morty, but I just like the humor. I've seen the jokes, and the jokes they make me laugh. Which of the 3 seasons are you going to cover for F is for Family? It's not really the seasons I'm trying to cover, it's the characters. And that's why it's so difficult, because collecting footage is difficult for me, because the software I use is very picky, and it takes me like 2 hours just to get 30 minutes worth of footage. I now have Premiere, but for some reason it won't import my audio correctly. I don't know why. When I import the audio, it's always staticky, and I don't really have time. I might have time to fix it this weekend, or at least research how to fix it, but until I get that fixed, I have to keep using my my Movie Edit Pro, which I do not recommend, because I've had Magic's Movie Edit. Everything I've made on this channel was made in Magic's Movie Edit Pro, and it's given me, ever since I've had it, it has given me such a hard time. Have you seen Savage Book's video about BoJack? Not that I can remember. Just a reminder, the titles are BH, the mother of all monologues, led to. I think I have seen Led to Water. But I don't remember those other ones. Half of mine, what BH teaches about change. No. I Led to Water sounds familiar, but I might be thinking about somebody else's. Hello from Poland. Oh, geez, someone from Poland. Love your stuff, man. What was the moment which made you realize BoJack is more than just another comedy show? Episode 4. Episode 4. Freaking... I first heard about BoJack Horseman on Netflix. It was advertised to me via the usual Netflix way. And I was like, that looks stupid. As I said before, I don't like... I'm not as much into adult animation as people tend to think I am. People think that because I mainly review BoJack Horseman, but I'm more so into like the traditional 2000s stuff. But the Mysterious Mr. Enter reviewed BoJack Horseman, and he said he watched it all the way to season 1 before he got interested. And so I got to episode 3 of season 1 because the Mysterious Mr. Enter said it was a good show. And after episode 3, I was like, this show isn't really doing it for me. But Enter watched it to the end of season 1, so I respect his opinion. I can at least watch it to the end of season 1. Episode 4 had me hooked. Oh my goodness, the way BoJack tricked Todd, I did not see coming. I was like, that was a fantastic twist, and from that point on to the end of season 4, I was eager to watch the next episode, like every episode. It wasn't until season 5 that like really I started noticing a lot of noticeable flaws. Like the only episodes I didn't like were Prickly Muffin. I don't like how BoJack had relationships with Sarah Lynn. I don't think they should have did that. I think that feels way out of character for him to do something like that. And I don't like Brat Brat Pew Pew for various reasons. But it wasn't until season 5 that I stopped being impressed with the show. Like from episode 4 to all the way to the end of season 4, I was highly hooked on BoJack Horseman. What do you think about Lilo and Stitch getting remade in live action? I think Disney should stop remaking live action stuff. I cannot stand these live action Disney remakes. You dislike Diane because of how they try to view her more as the correct person in the 5th season finale, right? No, that is not right. Also because she tends to be quite a hypocritical feminist. No, I dislike Diane because she's hypocritical and ungrateful. I did as far as the whole feminist SJW thing, I did a video with Just a Robot on his old channel, not his current channel. About how it's not being an SJW that makes Diane unlikable. It's that there are certain tropes that SJWs do that make them unlikable, and Diane does those tropes. So when people hear, feminist SJW, they immediately think of the tropes, and they like cringe. But if you got a feminist SJW who doesn't do any of those tropes, then they're fine. But Diane did all those tropes, and that's why a lot of people don't like her. Personally, I just think she's a hypocrite, and I think she's ungrateful. And I think she has all the tools necessary to make herself happy, but she doesn't. She doesn't use them. But if you're referring to the title where I said the real reason, again, real should be in quotations, but I was confused on how to freaking start the live stream that I didn't do it properly. The real reason people hate Diane, I was addressing other people's comments about how people hate Diane because they have misogyny in them. And I was saying that argument, if you want to convince other people of that argument, you need to find better reasoning, because people aren't going to listen to you if you just say, oh, well, the only difference between them is that the only difference between BoJack and Diane is that one is male and one is female. They're both just as bad. It's like, no, BoJack is worse than Diane, and being worse doesn't automatically make you less likable. And there's way more differences from BoJack and Diane than just their sex. You have to properly explain that. Have you ever watched the movie anime Silence of the Voice? You should watch it. It is really good. No, I've fallen out of anime. I used to be highly addicted to anime. I would say from my early teen years to my late college years. But when I got to late college years, which I was in college for way longer than I should have been. But when I got to my late college years, I started falling out a little bit. And what really kind of booted me out was the filler of Naruto and One Piece. The filler of Naruto and the pacing of One Piece. Because good gravy, the Dressrosa arc in One Piece is horrible. The pacing is horrible in that arc. And I got to the end of Dressrosa and I was just done. And then I went to Naruto and they kept interrupting the ninja war for flashbacks. I was done. I was done. The only show that could get me back into anime right now is Detective Conan. I still want to watch Detective Conan, but freaking Crunchyroll doesn't have all the episodes. I really dislike live action Disney in general. They don't know when to stop. Yeah, it's not real. To me, it's not real, like a real storytelling. Like, I prioritize storytelling when something is telling a story, and they're just retelling the same story. Like, they're not doing anything new with it, and it looks boring to me. I didn't see Beauty and the. I'm on a live action Disney strike. If anything makes me break it, it's gonna be Aladdin, because Aladdin was my favorite movie for the longest time until Wreck-It Ralph came out. But it still has like a nostalgic feel in me. But Aladdin, it looks really bad. The only good part of Aladdin looks like Will Smith. Like, and that was after the second trailer came out, because the first trailer, everybody hated how Will Smith looked. Given the fact that season 5 nailed home the lesson of the show going on, would you think the 6th season should be the end to prevent the show from getting stale? Depends on how season 6 goes. Season 5 shows that they because I think they could have gone to like before season 5 came out. I felt like they could have gone 8 seasons, and then it would have been a really strong show. But season 5, I felt it derailed. So if season 6 can get back on track, then I feel they could go still to like 8 seasons. But if it doesn't, then I would say maybe season 7 would be the final. Maybe even season 6. Dressrosa almost made me quit One Piece. It did make me quit It did make me quit One Piece. Have you watched Neon Genesis Evangelion? No, I've heard of it. What do you think of the new Joker trailer? I was iffy at first because it was different, but then I told my hipster mentality to sit down. I was like, this actually looks pretty good. Like, when you think about it, like, one of the things for me is that Joker's past is a mystery. In the comics, Batman had to imagine a couple of backstories, but that's been retconned so many times. But exploring the character, that's not a bad idea. Giving him a personality before he was a Joker, that's not a bad idea. I've seen it done in the comics too, where they gave him an actual personality, but he was way more desperate. Like, I think the movie version is actually going to have a better version than the one I read did. I didn't know you liked Detective Conan. Who's your favorite character? Who do you relate to most to? My favorite character is Shinichi. Hands down. Kudos, Shinichi is my favorite character. I felt so cheesy doing that. But yeah, freaking, like, he is the... Kudos Shinichi. Did I just call him Kudo? Is that his name? I haven't seen that show in so long. I can't remember what his freaking... Yeah, Kudo Shinichi. Okay. But he's definitely not Conan. Not Conan Edogawa. It has to be Shinichi. Okay? I actually, in my mind, I see them as two different people. Conan's the little kid who gets into trouble. Shinichi's the proper detective who everyone's like, he came back, he's solving the current mystery, and he's going to disappear in the next episode. That's... But it's definitely him. Definitely him. What do you think about Tuca and Birdie? Never heard of it. I really like the art style of Lisa Hanawa, but the Tuca and Birdie trailer was not very good looking. Greetings from Germany. Keep up your... It is blowing my mind that people from other countries are just dropping in. Bleach is over, Naruto is over, but One Piece is still going and stale as ever. Like, One Piece... yeah. I was about to repeat myself for the 920th time. I've always imagined Diane as a modern-day crusader. I disagree with 99% of the things she said, but I kind of admire her for fighting for what she believes in. Am I missing something? I wouldn't say you're missing anything. That's your personal opinion. I would say it's different from my opinion. I do not believe in jumping into a fight unprepared. And Diane does that. Diane will chastise other people without realizing where they're coming from. And she won't change... Like, her goal is to change minds. But if you can't see where your adversary is coming from, you're not going to change any minds. I completely understand you not wanting to watch any more adult shows, but there are. Well, it's not that I don't want to watch any more adult shows. Like, adult shows can be interesting. It's just that's not what I go to cartoons for. It's not like I get an advertisement for adult cartoons. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see that. If something would have been popular for kids in the 2000s, I will probably watch it more. I will probably like it more. But like, I want to see Rick and Morty. Futurama was fun. Like, I don't hate adult shows. I don't really the shows I don't like are the sexually explicit ones, which is why I laugh that everybody wants me to review Big Mouth. Which I will review it. It's just I don't know how far I'm going to get into the series before I have to say no, I can't do this anymore. I have to stop. Do you agree with a circulating theory that Mr. Peanut Butter's recent series of lies and self-delusions may lead him to switch places with BoJack, or do you think that it's just not in his nature? I think it's possible. One theory that was very prominent for the longest time was that Mr. PB was going to end it the same way Secretariat did, and it was going to be because demonstrating that the atmosphere of Hollywood can change anyone. Somebody in the comments said that was fun stutter right there. Somebody in the comments said that it would actually be a more touching story if it did the reverse, if it showed that Mr. Peanut Butter was too strong of a person. And the way they explain it makes it sound much better than how I'm explaining it right now. The manga of One Piece has been pretty good recently, but it seems like they're going into another Dressrosa-like arc, and I really don't think I can handle. I feel like the Dressrosa arc in the manga was probably handled better than the freaking anime. The anime spent 10 episodes waiting 5 minutes, like it was freaking DBZ Namek blowing up all over again. F is for Family is actually really good, especially the 3rd season. I've seen all 3 seasons of F is for Family, and I'm looking forward to going into it. Like I said earlier, I'm probably not going to review the seasons. I want to review the characters. The characters are what interests me the most about that show. I was firmly interested in reviewing the oldest son. I can't remember his name, but he has changed a lot since season 1, and since season like the character I want to review the most is Frank. I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's raining. Hopefully that flood watch stays at Kevin. Yeah, the oldest son's name is Kevin. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just haven't spent that. Like, I binge watched most of them. Any good book recommendations? I want to get back to reading so badly, or at least get a Kindle. There's a library right down the street, but I've moved so many times in the past 3 years, and I'm planning on moving one more time at least. That getting a library card is difficult. But I haven't really read in such a long time. Like when I was in college, if I was reading, it was out of a textbook or it was a comic book. But just getting into fiction, I want to do that. My favorite books growing up were Ender's Game and The Count of Monte Cristo. So if you haven't read those, then sure, go ahead and read those. I don't know if it'll hold your fancy though, because Count of Monte Cristo should. Ender's Game is more of a young adult novel. Any movies you're interested in? Favorite movie? My all-time favorite movie is Wreck-It Ralph. But for the longest time, I like how RP turned to the screen as I said that. Wreck-It Ralph. But the Aladdin for the longest time is my favorite movie. Wreck-It Ralph eventually bumped it. Movies that are very close to being first, but they're not, are Aladdin, Disney's Hercules, and a Goofy movie. You know, all Disney movies. Yeah, I'm a millennial. Disney Renaissance movies. Although I don't know if Goofy movie counts as a Disney Renaissance movie. Any movies I'm looking forward to? I've got tickets for Endgame. No, I haven't seen Captain Marvel. Because, she kind of told a lot of people not to see her movie. So I was like, okay. And people were saying you're not like I watched. Normally I avoid spoilers like the plague. I watched so many reviews of Captain Marvel because I did want to know if I was missing anything for Endgame, and people were like, you're not missing much. This is just it's really bad for the storytelling of what they did with Captain Marvel. They quickly shoved in this character, retconned a bunch of stuff, and now she's gonna be in Endgame. Like, good for you for jumping on at the last second. Like at least freaking like Janet was in the first Ant-Man movie, albeit 5 seconds. I also really like Bill Murphy. He sort of started to rebel in the latest season, though, right? He more so started to rebel in season 2. Like Bill, I think, is the story of how Kevin became Kevin. Because if you notice, the dad was like really nice to Bill a lot of the times, and you know, Kevin, even when Bill started that fire, Kevin even said, "Hey, I'm the good son now." But as the series progressed, he started calling Kevin the little. I'm not about to swear, but he started calling him that, and Kevin like gets this angry. I remember he woke Kevin up in the car. He picked up Marie, I think that's the girl's name. He picked her up, and then he woke up Kevin and said, "Hey, you little," and swore at him and said, "Get up and go to bed." And Kevin he looked so angry. Not Kevin, Bill. Sorry, Bill. He looked so angry, and I'm just thinking, why do you keep calling him that? And I think that's how, like, as I'm gonna go over this more in the video I'm gonna make about Frank, but just for spoilers for anybody who wants to watch that video. Frank has had pressures on him on what it takes to be a man, and as he's raising, as his boys, his actual boys become men, he starts treating them with less and less, and he starts being finish the sentence, Shady. He starts treating them with less and less sympathy and starts being way more harsh to them. He just starts yelling at them all the time, which he does to his friends too, or his co-workers at least, the ones he does to his underlings, not his co-workers, his underlings, because he's responsible for them, and he does that to other men because he feels okay, hold on, I'm gonna get my thoughts together. Because he believes that's how men should treat each other. If you are agitated with somebody as a man, you let that aggression out. And that's one of the things I'm really going to go over with him, is that, you know, the views of being a man in society. It's like how that affects a single man. Earlier you said there was a movie that made you cry a lot. What was it? Ooh, it was a religious movie. Something the Giants. Facing the Giants, yeah. I was in church, and I was watching it, and a bunch of sad things happened, and then at the end, like, the saddest thing happened. Well, not a bunch of sad things, a bunch of happy things happened. And then at the end, like, the happiest thing happened, and, like, I just broke into tears, and ever since then, I break into tears very easily. Have you seen Shazam? No. Because I was on a boycott for DC movies. I might stop now because people said they started to make good movies. People said Aquaman's been good. They said Shazam was good. You know, the only good one they had was Wonder Woman. Like, after Batman v... Well, first of all, after Man of Steel, I was done. Because I knew Batman v Superman was going to suck. I knew it was going to suck. And then my uncle had it, and I was like, okay, I'm not paying money to watch it, so I might as well see it. And it sucked. It was horrible. And I was like, this is one of the most long-awaited superhero movies ever. You guys dropped the ball this hard. Like, I was done. I said, no more DC movies. I'm not giving them no more money until they figure out how to do stuff. And Justice League, I heard was bad. And I was like, well, I'm glad I didn't see it. Wonder Woman, I heard was good. I heard Wonder Woman was good, but I was like, no, I'm on my boycott. They need to figure it out. They need to get a couple of movies together. But people said Aquaman was good. People said Shazam was good, so I might consider, you know, jumping on the DC train. Have you seen Over the Garden Wall? No, I have not. I have heard of it because Netflix keeps recommending it to me. I'm desperate for an original animated Disney movie at this point that isn't a sequel like Frozen 2. Yeah. Oh, my throat is going. Have you watched all Marvel movies? Not Captain Marvel, and I'm not going to watch Captain Marvel unless somebody who already has it wants to watch it. And even then, I'm probably not gonna want to watch it. And if you have, do you think they are funny when they try to be? The Marvel movies, more than any movies I've seen, know what they are. That's the thing. They are funny from a certain perspective. Like, I chuckle when they do their quips because they know they're supposed to be quippy. They know it and they embrace it. They embrace everything about them, and it makes you want to laugh, even if they aren't that funny. But I think I can't think of anything that made me like just fall out laughing. But you know, I get genuine chuckles from things. I'll say, "Oh, that was funny," you know. It's not a pity laugh. It's just a chuckle. Do you like animated superhero movies like Superman or Batman ones? Yes. Though I haven't seen any modern ones in a while. The ones I could think of that I have seen off the top of my head, they're old. Like Public Enemies, Batman, Superman, Public Enemies, Green Lantern, Emerald Knight, I think that was one. Ever loved a work of fiction despite hating its message? I'm trying to think of one because I've often. Have you ever heard of More Oral? Yeah, I talked about that in a video nobody watched. But I have heard of More Oral. When I was young, I hated it because I grew up very conservative. If I ever had a chance to watch it, I might give it a shot. But again, I think it relates to some sex stuff, and that makes me uncomfortable. But I was answering this question, and I just interrupted myself. Wow. Ever loved a work of fiction despite hating the message? I'm trying to think of one that I despite hating the message. I can't think of one where I hated the message, but I was like, that was a really good story. I cannot think of one. DC animated movies are usually relatively good from the ones I've seen. Yeah. That when I was early in college, I was like early 2010s. One thing we would always say was Marvel has the cinematic universe, but DC has the animated cinematic universe. Now you really got me thinking, like, what is something that I hated the message, but I loved the story anyway. I really can't think of one. Usually if something has a bad message, like that will stop me in my tracks. The Marvel ones aren't as good. I don't think they've gotten the hang of it. Are you big on anime? And I love the cool vibe of your channel. Keep up the good work. Don't tell me what to do. Do what I want. In fact, I'm deleting the channel right now. No, that's what you want me to do, isn't it? I'm a rebel. Gangsta, son. Gangsta. Thug life, man. I kick pillows for fun. Are you big on anime? I used to be. I used to be heavily into anime. But as I said before earlier in the stream, I fell out of it. The filler in Naruto and the pacing of One Piece made me not want to watch anime anymore. And really, I'm giving them most of the blame, which they deserve most of the blame. But there was one anime that kind of kick-started it. Hitman Reborn. Because, oh my goodness, they would waste so much time just so they could leave off on a cliffhanger. And it annoyed the mess out of me. It's only 200 episodes long, Hitman Reborn. But I was just so eager to get to the freaking end. And I never did. I think I got to episode like 125 or something. I don't know. Make an MLG parody. All right, I'm going to pretend I know what that is and say, yeah, sure. Yeah, Dragon Lord. And the thing is, it had a good plot. Like, it had, for as wild as its plot was, it had a good plot. And I was actually shocked because it started as just this silly thing that I'm pretty sure the writers did not take seriously at all. But then as it got popular, it seemed they wanted to go into a more lore-focused plot. And it was good, but then, oh man, I forget. Oh, they went back to the, I got to the part where they went back to the past to train. Then they went back to the future after they were done with their training. Oh yeah, now I remember the freaking episode where the girls rebelled because what's his face wouldn't tell them what was going on. Yeah, that annoyed me. The message too, like freaking Lambo, they were like, "You're being so mean to Lambo. Lambo's a spoiled brat. He needs to be mean to Lambo." BoJack has a bunch of sexual themes and jokes, so why do you like that and not more oral? Well, I haven't seen more oral. I said I'm iffy to check it out because I know it has that stuff in it. BoJack does have a lot of sexual things and jokes, and they make me uncomfortable. But at the same time, the other stuff that it has is good enough that I keep watching it anyway. What about anime movies that aren't part of a series like Studio Ghibli? I've only seen two from Studio Ghibli. I've seen My Neighbor Totoro, and I've seen the one with Lilo, Spirited Away. Yeah. Agree and look at adult, not teen Lambo. Yeah, Lambo freaking annoyed me because he got them into so much trouble by doing just such stupid stuff. And one day the protagonist went off on him. He's like, "You need to be more responsible, Lambo. You can't just act like a child all the time." And everybody got on his case. I'm like, "No, he's the boss. This is the example he needs to be setting. This freaking kid gets them into trouble all the time. He needs to stop. They are in danger." And then at the end, he's like, "Lambo, I'm sorry for yelling at you." No! More oral is on Daily Motion. A lot of people call it as depressing as BoJack. She's unfair most of the time, and because of her selfishness, she hurts her. What are you talking about? Oh, are you talking about Diane? Wow. Hey, the title of the video. Have you seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood? No, I've never seen Full Metal Alchemist. When it came out, I wasn't that into anime where I would research. Like when I was still in school, finding anime online became a thing. Like, it wasn't something everyone did. It became a thing. We've been streaming for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Who's Diane? LOL. Oh, I get it. Like the song. What's your favorite show? Of all time, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Do you think Diane is ever going to get with BoJack? Hopefully not. I hope not. I'm sorry, this is not the subject. I'm French. That's probably. No. You. That is the subject. It's just it wasn't what we were currently talking about, so I didn't know where that was coming from. I was like, who are you talking about is unfair most of the time because of her selfishness. I was like, yeah, the subject of the video is talking about Diane. We just been talking about so much other stuff. It's okay, and it's cool that I got French people in here. I think if you're religious, you won't like Brotherhood for the most part. I am religious, though. I will say I'm not as religious as I used to be growing up. Do you think I read that? What's the most hated show you still defended? I don't know if I want to say Rocket Power, but I've never really openly defended it. Like, I always just say, well, I like it. And even then, Rocket Power is not really hated. It's just seen as objectively bad by most reviewers. I wouldn't even say by most people, just reviewers. I can't really think of anything. Excuse me. I mean, generally, if a show is hated, I tend to be on the bandwagon. Trying to think of one. Um, no, I can't really think of a hated show. Oh yeah, Last Airbender was good. Korra was, I think, good early on, but then lost focus or something. Korra, the first season started out. I loved the first season until the last episode. I hated the last episode. Mr. Ender brought up a lot of good points of why the first season just didn't work as a whole, though. Second season, I liked like half of it. Third season was getting really good, and then I couldn't watch it anymore because I was in school and I was getting too busy, and I never really found time to sit down and watch third or fourth season. It sounds like a Q&A. What we're doing right now? I mean, if you want to ask me questions, go ahead. This video was basically me just talking about how people oftentimes say that Diane is the people who hate Diane, they do so because misogyny, and I was like, I got a free Friday afternoon. I might as well hang out with you guys. I'm from Puerto Rico. You have a rainbow of people over there. I'm originally from Florida, so there's a rainbow of people there too. Do you like rap? If so, in your art specifically, I'm big on Kanye these days. I don't like modern rap. I don't know what modern rap actually sounds like nowadays. When I tried to listen to modern rap, it was back in the 2000s, and it sucked. Nobody had any emotion. People rapped off beat, and all they talked about was stupid things I didn't care about. I like old school rap. Will Smith, Run DMC, LL Cool J, that stuff. I do believe that Larson was going a bit too overboard on the feminism. What personally do you think turned you off from Captain Marvel? That. When people start trying to force their message onto their audience, and then they say, if you don't like it, don't watch it, then you just say, okay. I didn't like Captain Marvel. I don't like Captain Marvel's character. Here's the thing. Brie Larson being Captain Marvel is actually really good casting. It's actually really good casting. How Brie Larson acts in real life, Captain Marvel acts like that in the comics. It's actually amazing casting. Only Captain Marvel is more serious with it. She doesn't laugh with it. I said for the most part, chill. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Too political. When I watch your videos, I have a feeling that you've done some literature studies. You're pretty good at depicting what's not so obvious. When growing up, I was always good at literature in school, and I didn't really realize it until no. When you're in lower level grade school, anything you're good at, your teachers praise you at it all the time. But as you get into like middle school and high school, you start developing your own interests. My interests that I developed was into computers. I started doing a lot of stuff on the computers. I started doing like CAD architecture and editing videos, etc. I didn't realize it though, but I was also good at writing. Like when I first started grade school, reading and writing, I was really good at it, and I was never, ever bad at it except 7th grade. For some reason, and I wasn't even really bad at it. I just wasn't as good as my other stuff. Like I thought I was really good at math and computers. But when I got to college and I started branching out my avenues and seeing which direction I could go with myself, I realized that I had a good understanding of writing and writing essays and explaining literature. I was really good at both of those. What's your favorite genre of music in general? Is Disney a genre? I don't think it is. I mean, I don't know if I have a favorite genre of music. It's just certain type. Like, I have very eclectic taste when it comes to music. I like pop. I like 50 style, the stuff you hear from Fallout. I like old style and new style Disney. I like rap if it's done right. I think epic rap battles of history does rap right. Any type of music can be really good. I don't know if I really have a favorite. I would say the music I listen to all the time is generally just stuff that I hear from cartoons. This is why many people likely didn't like the Captain Marvel comic. Captain Marvel dictator, from what I heard in the comics. Yeah, she eventually became that. Captain Marvel has really never been that popular of a character. Like they've switched her out so many times. And by her, I mean her outfit and her personality. She just doesn't work. Really, she's just like a bland character. She's just really super powerful, and there's really not much interesting about her personally. Do you really hate with cartoons make fun of disabled people? No. I think anybody can make fun of anything. The trick to it is to make more people laugh than you make offended. All jokes are offensive. All jokes are offensive to someone. You just got to make sure that more people are laughing with you than being offended. Or more of your audience, not more people in general. More of your targeted audience. What's your favorite movie? Wreck-It Ralph. Is Disney genre tied with this man makes an instrument? What do you think of Disney's takeover? I'm fine with it, but I have a bias. You know, I hear about all this bad stuff Disney does, and I'm just like, whatever. they make my movies. If I saw it firsthand, I would probably if it affected me some way in firsthand, I would probably be more upset about it. But it's distant. It's distant bad behavior, and all I see in front of me is their movies. Would you watch Captain Marvel or Captain Marvel? Shazam. I would watch Shazam because he didn't tell me not to watch his movie. It's recently become my favorite Disney song. Oh, you wrong for that. Balmer Emmy. Oh. Man. On another note, do you still read comics? No, because I don't have my library card. That's really the only reason I don't read comics. Which oh, I'm still laughing from that. Okay, have you heard of DC Superhero Girls? What is your? I have heard of it. I haven't seen it. I don't watch most cartoons on cable nowadays. I get most of my entertainment from the internet because I'm working most of the time. I work during the week and I make YouTube videos on the weekends, which is why I don't really have time to make videos like I want to right now. Really, I have time to like record a video on Fridays, edit it on Saturdays, and then Sundays I have to take rests because if I don't rest, I'm gonna go crazy or kill myself, and I don't want to do that. But I have heard of it. Actually, isn't that on Netflix? DC Superhero Girls. I feel like that's on Netflix. No, it's not. Okay. I was going to say, if that's on Netflix, why haven't I checked it out? I need to check out Carmen Sandiego. Sort of messed up Star Wars in many areas. Yep. What is your work? I'm a data entry clerk. What's the saddest story you've watched, read? The saddest? I don't know. Saving Private Ryan's pretty sad, but like for me, one of the saddest moments I ever had was just, and I know this is gonna sound really millennial of me to say, but like one of the saddest moments I can remember in a movie was Vanellope's car getting destroyed in Wreck-It Ralph. And I know, like, I've seen movies where people die and whatnot, and you know, tragic things happen. But I don't know. I think the acting was just really good in that scene, the voice acting and the animation and whatnot. I wouldn't say it's the saddest story, but it's the moment I think of when I think of really sad moments. Favorite album of all time, and have you heard of Radiohead? I have not. My favorite album is Hamilton. Broadcast play. Have you watched any other YouTuber who talks cover cartoon animation? I watched The Mysterious Mr. Enter. I watch Mad Munchkin. I don't know if Just a Robot really counts. He does look at some cartoons and stuff, but not really that much. I mean, I watch Rebel Taxi, Saber Spark. Who else? Who else? I would say Enter and Rebel Taxi are probably the main ones. Saber Spark, every now and again, he'll talk about things I don't care about, so I won't always click on his videos. Have you ever had a near-death experience? No. Thoughts on Wreck-It Ralph's sequel? It had what I wanted. It wasn't as good as it could have been. There were a lot of plot holes, but it had what I wanted. It had Ralph and Vanellope being friends. Vanellope glitch being connected to her emotions. Ralph wrecking things. And a very touching moment between the two. That was the main thing I wanted. I love Hamilton so much. My favorite song is My Shot. Hamilton, oh my goodness. Oh. I really like Hamilton. Oh, I really like Hamilton. My favorite song is Nonstop. I feel like if I ever got to where I wanted to be on YouTube, I would be Hamilton and Nonstop. I would just be making so much content because I have so many ideas for content I want to make, but I just don't have the time to make them. And I'm not just talking about YouTube. I mean, off of YouTube too, but I have to get there first. Will you actually create a video on Big Mouth? Yes, but I don't know how far into Big Mouth I'm going to get before I actually do. Ever watch Red Played a series and had an idea pop into your head? How you sort of wish things would go, knowing likely won't, but the idea won't leave your head. Yes, every series where somebody lies and decides not to tell the truth. Every single one. Really, it's not that they lie. It's that I know the lesson is going to be you shouldn't have lied. It made things worse. I cannot stand that. It's so overdone. It's so overdone. And I know I just sound like freaking Doug Walker whenever he talks about the liar's reveal. Did you like the end of Wreck-It Ralph 2? I'm glad they didn't decide to just go the everything works out and happily ever after ending. They tend okay. Spoilers for Wreck-It Ralph 2. If anybody's hasn't seen it yet, I liked that Ralph got to play Donkey Kong. He was essentially playing Donkey Kong. I don't know if anybody noticed that. He even had his own hammer. This giant monster climbed a building with the female that he liked, and he went to rescue her. He was playing Donkey Kong. I liked it, but I think they skipped over a good couple of plot holes. Like, the whole plot of the first movie was that a character shouldn't just leave their game. And they tried to address it. You know, Vanellope said there's 8 other racers, but they established in this movie that she's the most popular. If Vanellope never shows up again in that game, the players are going to notice. They probably won't even want to play the game because they'll be like, oh, Vanellope's never here. I think what I loved most about the Wreck-It Ralph ending was the goodbye scene. Like, I just really liked the goodbye scene. I thought it was sweet. The play buttons are given based on subscribers. So no, I don't have any play buttons. All right, peeps. I think we got about 15 more minutes, and then I'll wrap it up unless we really get into something. But I think I'm mainly repeating questions now. Watch any profound YouTube videos. Profound? Check my history. I don't know if I said. I mean, Enter is making his technocracy videos. Those are probably the closest thing to profound I've seen. Mostly, I just watch YouTube to relax when I get home. Sometimes I'll listen to like political stuff, but I wouldn't recommend any political stuff. Not until I'm so big that YouTube can't ignore me. What impact has Diane had on BoJack as a person? Well, that's a question. Let me get to somebody else real quick. What are your thoughts on Dan Schneider? I don't remember who that is. Are you a gay? No. I am a shady. I am a YouTuber. I am a guy who wears shades and do-rags. I really like this format. Do you think you'll do more streams like this in the future? Probably in the near future, because I have a lot of things I want to talk about, but I don't have time to make videos. So what I'll probably do is I'll start streaming, and then I'll address the topic of the stream like I did with this one, and then afterwards we can just talk about stuff. Somebody had a question. Oh, what impact has Diane had on BoJack as a person? Well, Diane has allowed BoJack to start looking deeper into himself, because she showed the world his ugly side, and the world still appreciated him. And it kind of makes sense what they said in season 5, how he said, well, Diane, you showed me that I'm okay with being with having my faults. Like, that kind of makes sense. That could be a whole video in itself, Diane, how Diane has affected BoJack. That's actually a good idea. I might do that. Would BoJack still be happy in the Kasserek universe? Germany winning World War One. Yes, because BoJack is not about speaking against the norm. BoJack is about giving people what they want. Unless in an entertaining light, he can be funny, basically. And the only reason he can be funny is Herb, though. So the only reason he got funny was Herb. Herb taught him how to be comedic. So Herb probably wouldn't have made it in that universe. So there's a chance that BoJack wouldn't have either. Book club streams, that's a good one. Makes me want to again go back to reading, or at least get a Kindle. Do you think Diane is written to be hypocritical, or do you think the writers agree with most of the points she makes? I don't know if she's written to be hypocritical. I don't know if that was done on purpose. I know they acknowledged it at the end of season 5, but as I explained, I think that felt really forced. I think that was just something people have been complaining about, and so they just tacked it on there. Have you ever watched Nostalgia Critic? Yes, I watch him all the time. I don't agree with a lot of stuff he says, but I'm mainly watching him for entertainment purposes. And I love the thought of somebody taking something they're passionate about and turning it into a career. I hope you make more streams. You seem like such a chilled person. Yeah, I get that a lot. Who's your favorite character in BoJack Horseman? Princess Carolyn. And did they teach you anything that changed your life? I explained this before. The lessons that BoJack Horseman is teaching people, I've already learned. I learned them when I was a kid. I had these lessons drilled into me. I don't watch BoJack Horseman because I relate to the characters. I watch BoJack Horseman because it's a really good story. Or at least it was before season 5. I'm going to keep drilling that. I'm going to keep saying that until everyone agrees with me that season 5 is not good. Are you going to celebrate Easter? How? Probably not. Thoughts on how BoJack will end? I used to think Mr. Peanut Butter would end himself, but I don't know if that's going to happen anymore. I like the thought of something bad happening to BoJack, something really bad, and him walking into a bar and saying, Hey, why the long face? Maybe Mr. Peanut Butter ending himself, and then BoJack walking into the bar and the bartender saying, "Hey, why the long face?" I think that would just be such a poignant ending. Will you make different content in the future? I want to make different content now. I just don't have the time. You guys have no idea how much content I want to make, how many ideas are in my brain. Like, I want to make content. I just don't have time. The reason I can do this is because I don't have to edit this. I can just sit down and do it. And editing is not just time consuming, but like it's energy consuming, and you gotta be creative with it and stuff like that. You're not always feeling creative when you come back from a day of work. Favorite nostalgia critic video? Mine is Cat in the Hat video. Probably Avatar. The Avatar is what really got me, or Avatar The Last Airbender is really what got me. It's not called Avatar. It's called The Last Airbender. The Last Airbender is what really got me into the nostalgia critic. Like, I didn't care for Doug Walker before, but he started reviewing Avatar The Last Airbender, and it was just fun to watch someone get into this show that you've never seen before, which is why I do the miraculous videos, even though they're super unpopular. Like, I think it's just fun to do, to watch somebody get into a show. And he showed, like, when he saw Azula, and just from seeing her design, he was like, that's going to be main character. Like, he earned my respect then, because, like, I don't agree with a lot of stuff he says, but that he could recognize right off the bat that Azula was going to be a main character. Like, I was like, wow, that's good eye, Doug. But yeah, the Last Airbender review of his is probably my favorite. The I'm a little teapot joke. Oh, I was sitting in a library watching that video, and that joke came up, and I had to hold it in. I was laughing so hard. We want to buy your military stuff. This this isn't even mine. Well, it's mine now, but like I didn't even go out and like buy this or get it or anything. It was somebody else's, and they just gave it to me. What's the episode BoJack Horseman that you can relate to? Bah, Ruthie. Bah. Where everything just goes bad for Princess Carolyn, even though she did everything right. There's hair in my mouth. Bah. Bah. Never grow a mustache, kids. Bah. It might make you sexy and attractive to all the ladies and certain other types of creatures, but hair gets in your mouth, so. A piece of advice you live by: always be thankful, or at least always consider what you should be thankful of. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I really dislike season 5. I hope that the 6th season is better. I feel like I skipped some. Favorite dark chocolate maple cream egg from Russell Stover will be my downfall this weekend. Can't blame you. You should make an essay on Hamilton. Now that would be amazing. If I had ever seen Hamilton, I would. I've never seen it. I've only listened to the album a million times because, you know, the tickets are only $925,000. Like, but I've listened to the album so many times. I basically know the story, and yeah, it's a really good story. Like, even if you don't think of the songs, and I know it's based off of history, but they've changed some things to make it into a really good story. I would love to do one on Hamilton, but again, I've never seen it, so. Will BoJack stay sober? Will he become the annoying preaching kind of ex-addict? He might. I mean, I don't know where to predict with BoJack at this point. Season 5 threw me for a loop. Removal 2 little cartoon characters in the background in your stream. Remove. I can't even do him. He doesn't have his arm. Immersion ruined. There. Now it's better. You can see them even more now. RP's missing his arm. I forgot he was missing his arm. Yeah, those are my mascots. I haven't had a chance to use them like I want to. But I love my mascots. I don't think I could remove them. I was considering making these guys my mascots. Freaking Mr. Hops here. And Mrs. Barky Bark. I hate Mrs. Barky Bark so much. Mr. Hops is amazing, though. Why did BoJack Horseman, the show, focus on BoJack's female ancestor and not as much as his male ancestors? Yeah. I don't know why. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing it. You know, Beatrice and Honey had very interesting lives, so I don't see anything wrong with it. True, I want to know more about BoJack's father. Great life advice. I have a bigger mustache and beard than you, so if you don't trim it, it can be a pain while eating. Or if you trim it just before eating, all the hair falls into your food. I meant to say what your favorite season is in sun. Oh, summer. I generally prefer fall. But I think that's actually changing. I think spring is becoming my favorite, but for the longest time, it's been fall. Season 5 seemed like season 2 or 3 leftovers. Seems like season 1 redone. That's what it felt like. Who's the female mascot? That is Ellipsis. How the mascots originally worked was I was RP, you know, the guy who. This guy, RP, that's the avatar's name. I was him, and Ellipsis was my sidekick. She didn't speak, which is why her name is Ellipsis. So yeah, Ellipsis and I'm calling him RP. His name is Random Person, because before I was Shady Durags, my online name was Random Person, and I just took my avatar from my old YouTube channel and brought it over here. And there's actually like a really old video with RP's old voice, character capture Aladdin. Like RP had a high annoying voice that I talked in. There's like 2 videos on this channel, no, like 3, 4, maybe 5 videos on this channel where with that old voice. I don't use it anymore though, because I don't use this version of RP anymore. How would you react if Will Arnett breathed essentially into you? I would not enjoy that. I'm antisocial. I don't want to be around people. We want to buy your military stuff. I guess it is part of your name because I just keep reading that. I've always related to several BoJack Horseman episodes where they focus on the pain of breaking up. It just touched my feelings really hard. Yeah, see, I'm not big on relationship stuff. Beanie Babies are so cute. Is that what these are? Beanie Babies? Oh, the tags aren't on there anymore. How do you spell ellipsis? I will spell it in. Ellipsis. She never speaks. That's why she's called Ellipsis. What? They're blinking. Yeah, I learned that trick from Mad Munchkin. Have you ever watched Rick and Morty? If so, do you have a large brain? I don't watch Rick and Morty. I want to. I've only seen clips of it. To reiterate of the previous question, I found it weird how we didn't get to see things from Joseph Sugarman's perspective since he too lost a child. Just like Honey. Well, I don't find that as weird because we're about to talk about something that some people consider controversial. I don't, but some people do. But it is relevant to the topic, so let's hope the channel survives. But there are, with men, the right sides of their brains are not as, I would say, big as females, not as developed. The right sides of your brain are what determines emotions. So with females, emotions tend to be very high, whereas with men, their emotions are a bit more stable. They tend to be more left brain oriented. So he probably was very sad that he lost his son, but he didn't feel it as intensely in his emotions as Honey did. Also, he was living in a time where that was how men expected to be, emotionless. What's your favorite video game? Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. I haven't played it in a while though because I played it so much for like 10 years. And if I wasn't playing it, I was watching other people play it on YouTube. But yeah, I mean, I just recently fell out of League of Legends. Like I played League of Legends for a good long time, and I was this close to having all the champions, to owning all of them, but I just got bored. What's your favorite game? Do you play Smash? I haven't console gamed since the Wii era. Because I in college, like I was focused on college, and so like I own a Wii U and a PS4. I owned two PS4s at one point. um, Skull Kid has the best design. Well, he has a amazing design with the Majora's Mask on. Like, I don't know why I think that, but he does. Who's your favorite historical character? Well, I have a bias. It's Hamilton, but that's because I like the fictional version of him. Honestly, I would love to see an episode about Butterscotch. I always found the clips with him interesting, for they shine light on some of BoJack's behavior. Yeah. There's a game called Night in the Woods that I think you'd really like. I would like to get back into gaming. Time just hasn't permitted. Once I got out of college, a lot of things happened, and I really haven't been able to get back. Like, all my consoles are still in storage. Oh, you talking about you want me to make an episode on Butterscotch? I thought you were saying you wanted BoJack Horseman to have an episode on Butterscotch. I could consider it. I don't know. I'm not sure what I would say. Like what you guys want and what I'm inspired to make. Obviously, they don't always line up. Like a lot of people want me to talk about Hollyhock, and I don't know what more I can say about Hollyhock that I haven't said in BoJack's season 4 thing. What BoJack learned in season 4 Journey, that's what it's called, BoJack's season 4 Journey. I don't know what more I could say about Hollyhock that I haven't said in that video. I do want more shows to cover how males were expected to act in society back then, like with Frank Murphy. Yes, that's exactly why I really like F is for Family. It's dealing with how people in their roles are supposed to act. And like I related to Frank on a level I hadn't related to other characters before, and specifically on what it meant to be a man in his time. Mostly responds with anger. His father taunting him by calling him Francine. Are you going to watch Tuca and Birdie? I've never heard of it, but I will maybe look into it. Were you ever into arcade games? Yeah, when I was whenever I'm at a place that has them, yes. Like my college campus had one, and I used to play it. And then the first job I had when I was out of college had one, and I would play it. Like that one was free. I didn't have to put any quarters in. And it had like, I think I had like over 50 games on it. Hollyhock is not a character as much as she is a plot mover. I would call her well established in both. I'm not going to say your statement is false, but I don't deem her less valuable because of how much of a plot mover she is. Sometimes okay. Well, with that really weak yawn, I think we will call it a day there. Thank you guys so much for coming and spending time with me. I didn't know what to expect from this live stream. because of the whole YouTube deleting my channel thing, and then afterwards YouTube hiding my videos thing, and then afterwards me not being able to make videos like I want thing, the views on the channel have been going down a lot. But so I wasn't sure what was gonna happen with this live stream. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming up and just listening to this and asking questions and talking. You know, like I said before, I enjoy treating this like a book club and having conversations with you guys. And yeah, seeing how this one worked out, I would certainly consider doing more in the future. Just like I said, talking about one specific topic, and then afterwards we just get together and discuss things. You know. But with that, I am going to head out, but not without. This has been Shady Durags. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.